at 6:05 due to technical difficulties, but thank you for bearing with us. Yes, it does help if I turn the microphone off. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're starting at about 6 minutes late because of technical difficulties and me not turning on my mic. But welcome to the meeting and here we're going to
Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is available on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org. For remote commenters, you will be muted until it is your turn to speak. For in-person attendees, please keep phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you all and participating in your city government.
Can we do a roll call, please?
Alta Mesa. Aguajita Oaks.
Alta Mesa here.
Thank you. Aguajita Oaks.
Can't hear us.
Okay, can you hear us now?
They're not hearing us online.
We can hear you now.
Oh, you can?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so doing a roll call now for Deer Flats.
Deer Flats, present.
Thank you, Scott. Because I did not receive details for you joining remotely beforehand, I'll need to do the just cause for you. So can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
And were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes,
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do.
And could you please give a brief description as to what was the reason for the just cause? This could be for medical reasons, personal business, or any other reasons.
Yeah, mostly family commitments.
Okay. And is anyone over the age of 18 with you in the room?
Negative.
Okay. And can all the other committee members here, committee member Scott Kohik? All right, thank you. Thank you. So now moving on, roll call for Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande, or no, sorry, Del Monte Beach.
Here.
Thank you. Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande.
Here.
Thank you. Downtown. Fisherman's Flats. Here. Thank you. Glenwood.
Here.
Monterey Vista.
Here.
Thank you. New Monterey.
Here.
Thank you. Oak Grove. Oak Grove. Okay, Old Town.
Here.
Skyline. And Villa Del Monte. Yeah. Thank you. We have quorum.
All right.
So now it's time for public comments from anyone in the audience that wants to address anything that's not on tonight's agenda, or anyone at home who would like to address the committee. How many people at home do we have that would like to do that?
Yeah, 0.
Let's see.
This is the time for public comment. If you're online and you would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. Okay, so no online comment. Anyone in?
One in the chamber wants to speak on any issue that's not on the agenda? We have 2. So let's go for 3 minutes and go for it.
Okay, 3-minute public comment.
Items not on the agenda.
Yeah, this is for items not on the agenda. So anyone for public comment for items not on the agenda? Okay,
Okay.
and then that's closed with public comment. And
This thing is
move to approval of minutes.
Very clear.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They're not on the agenda. We have a proposed project. We're not discussing projects.
We are, yes, item number 7 is for new proposed projects this evening. So yes, we will be talking about projects. So the point, if you have an item that's a new project, and then have a public comment on item 7
That's,
at that time.
thank you, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no worries. All right, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move to approval of minutes.
Want to first approval of minutes? Or
I make a motion to approve the minutes as they are written.
okay, second, entertaining a second.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Del Monte Beach. Thank you. The roll call, Aguirre Oaks. Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Costa Nova Oak Knoll,
Aye.
Clear Flats.
Aye.
Thank you. Del Monte Beach.
Aye.
Thank you. Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Aye.
Fisherman Flats,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Aye.
Monterey Vista,
Aye.
New Monterey.
Aye.
Thank you. Oak Grove. I'm sorry, Old Town,
Aye.
Skyline, and Villa Del Monte.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
So I think the next thing is spokespersons comments. And I have to say, wow, a 55-page agenda set. Good job. We have a challenging meeting tonight, and I appreciate everybody's attention and time spent in considering in preparation for this evening's meeting. Hopefully, we'll be able to move it through quickly. We find ourselves in a city that has a $10 million shortfall, if anybody's been paying attention to city council. And that's weighing on our minds, but if you've been following council, I suggested to staff that they not take our funding cycle, that we look at the back projects, which card number 5 was their suggestion to take this funding cycle. But I think we have many city needs that need to be funded, like the fire department buildings, the police buildings, the ADA stuff, the forestry stuff. Those are all things that are necessary for our citizenry to have a safe place. So I've suggested that that not be taken. We'll have to wait and see what council does. I think we need to behave as if they will be asking us for something. So with the budget challenges, they can raise revenues, but that takes time to do. They have to get the public vote, et cetera, to get that done. We're the easiest path, so we'll be a target. I want to encourage us to look at the open projects and evaluate, given the current needs, are these really the priorities? Reggie has put together a nice summary, which is with the details on item 6. But for now, let's move forward with the agenda and go through items 3 through 5, and we'll get to 6 and the rest of the heavier agenda items that are on. Well,
All right, thank you. So we don't have. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for some patience. We've had a couple different technical difficulties here this evening. Right now, we're trying to address this buzzing speaker. I apologize. There's technical difficulties here this evening. But yeah, once we get started, we will follow the agenda. If you don't have a physical copy, you can find it on iSearch Monterey. Right there, just go through each item. As the chair has described, we do have a very packed agenda. So the goal will be we'll go through and give each item the time it needs. But the idea would be to move through as best we can.
Hey, for Brian. Line, are you still able to hear us? Okay, thank you, Scott, for confirming. Thank you. So we will proceed as the agenda writes.
All right, thank you again, everyone. This meeting was also delayed a week, but we'll talk about that as well, I'm sure. So tonight, we're gonna go through public appearance items. There's 10 of them. And we'll go through each by one at a time. And after a staff presentation, there'll be an opportunity for the committee to ask questions. Then there'll be public comment. Then we'll go back to the committee for deliberation. Okay, so starting with item 3, It's the recommendation by staff to close out Ryan Ranch pickleball court project that was awarded and funded in the 23 cycle. Its project number is NCP 2403. And to transfer those funds to the pickleball courts at Monterey Tennis Center, NCP 2535. The Ryan Ranch 8-court pickleball court design project was funded at $100,000. And the Monterey Tennis Center pickleball court project was funded at $55,000. If the committee agrees and votes to move those funds, that would allow for the pickleball court project at downtown tennis courts to have a total of $155,000. The reason why there's two reasons that staff is making this recommendation this evening. First, the Ryan Ranch pickleball court staff strongly makes a recommendation against moving forward with that project for multiple reasons. One of which that Parks and Recreation is not in place to support new facilities, nor is the city in general in a place to support new facilities at this time. And it thinks that it would be a better use of available funds to spend it on the existing facility. The Monterey Tennis Center in downtown, there was a question earlier about why would the funds go to something that's operated privately for profit. The city has a lease on that facility, and the city has the requirement to maintain and upkeep the property, regardless of what else is happening. So that is, the facility does need work. It needs to be resurfaced. It needs lights. It needs fencing, amongst other items that including converting 2 courts to 6 pickleball courts. So given those facts, that is the recommendation, and I'll open it up to the committee for questions. Downtown?
So the total of the 100,000 plus the 50, is that enough to fully complete project?
That will, based on the estimates that we have, that would get us, that would take care of the resurfacing of all of the existing courts. So there's 8 courts, but we would resurface the courts and convert what we call courts 1 and 2. Those would become pickleball courts. And we would maintain remaining 6 tennis courts. Then we would also replace, like I said, the lighting, fencing, and that would address those needs. Yes.
Okay, completely. Okay, thanks. Oops.
I do have a question because by council's assessment, we already have an excess number of pickleball courts. And now you're going to designate courts downtown. I mean, by your own, I remember the statement, that was one of the reasons for pulling the plug on Ryan Ranch. And so we're going to support additional pickleball courts downtown. Is that correct?
Right. So so regionally there are, depending on how you count and I guess what is enough, I can't make that argument, but there would be, so the original project was to install, it was originally 8 pickleball courts, but then as I understand, based on dimensions and once they started looking into it, in reality, they can only do 6 in those 2 courts, 6 pickleball courts in the 2 existing tennis courts. I mean, but the committee can vote, right? In the alternatives, you have the ability to recommend to keep it, to recommend to close them out, to recommend to close it out and not transfer the funds, to transfer the funds, or as the chair or vice chair has recommended, we could also make a recommendation to close both projects. I mean, the committee has, you have the ability to make any or none of those recommendations. You could also leave it as is. I brought this to the committee with the intention of doing a couple different things. One is to close out some of these projects that we just know we're not going to get to tidy up the books, so to speak. And given everything we know, I believe personally that this is the right path, but it's up to the committee to make a decision. And then ultimately it'll go to city council.
I believe after this project was funded for design, they built 8 pickleball courts at MVC. And then the idea, from what I remember from the discussions, were that this was centrally located downtown.
Going back to that section, it discussed the difference between public and private play. And it was never a guarantee that the Ryan Ranch courts were going to be public, open to anyone. But I think that was the intent. Now we're in a situation where you've got private play, clubs, FIFA play. I think it's contrary to what the original project intent was.
You are correct. It was the original NCIP, the 2403, the nomination was for free play. However, that was never a guarantee. And I mean, that was the original nomination. And they do currently charge fees to play at Monterey Tennis Center. That is correct.
And one last thing, I still am unclear on the for-profit business that will come to NCIP for funds to enhance their business. And I think when I sent the email to you, I mentioned what's the difference between a business on the wharf who leases from the city, who decides they want an awning outside their restaurant. Would they come to NCIP for funds, and would we fund that? I mean, in other words, this is a for-profit business. Shouldn't the business owner be enhancing his business?
More info.
Shannon, if you can field that question, please. But are you aware of the leasing structure?
So it's actually a concession agreement with the Monterey Tennis Center and has been for at least 20 plus years. And with the intent that they are offering services, recreational play, it's not an exclusive tennis club. And they're serving the community. They offer, run their fees through us as well, so that they are offering the tennis camps and the lessons and those services that offset the staff and the city resources. So it's a little bit different than a lease agreement on the wharf. It's offering a recreational program that we do not have to supply ourselves.
Jill, you were next.
Thank you. I just want to state that I am an avid pickleball player, so I'm a little bit probably emotional about this issue, but many courts are being closed throughout our neighboring cities, and everyone's out there. And I've literally been at one of the courts in Seaside because I'm kind of on the border, and there have been 45 people waiting. And if you can imagine, each of those people has a car, and most don't come together. Everybody's just cruising around searching for a game. And there's a lot of people. And I kind of wonder why the city of Monterey can't take advantage of that. I mean, having a beautiful pickleball facility, for instance, as I just played in the city of
Right
Nevada.
now, we're just taking questions. So if you have questions.
That's my question.
Okay.
Is why, Ryan Ranch is an ideal location. The parking, especially on the weekends, isn't a problem. And I don't think the city of Monterey downtown courts can handle all the people that show up.
I can't speak to how many people would or would not show up, but the decision I think as staff that we made based on several different factors, including the budget and staffing, is that we just simply cannot at this point staff or operate a new facility. And those are the facts as they are. Like I said, the NCIP committee has the ability to, this project would probably, to be blunt and honest, it'll sit on the books and it'll be one of those projects that in 10 years, we're like, how come that hasn't been said? I mean, that's where we are right now.
There's no money.
And so I think Ryan Ranch is just a dream that may never happen.
I'll pass on my question.
So I have two questions. Will the tennis courts be striped to be pickleball courts as well so that they're multi-use?
That is not the plan.
Is that an expensive addition to the plan?
You're saying to have dual striping.
Mhm.
My understanding is that people don't like that. I mean, I guess that would be something that we could consider, but what I understand is that people don't like the double lines.
Yeah.
Which is part of the problem, because I think the Monterey Tennis Center right now has some form of lines for pickleball on the tennis courts, and that has led to other issues.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee have a question? Open it up to public comments. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh.
I just want to ask, there was talk about renaming it the Racket Club, and is that still happening, or is that part of, if once it goes to more serious pickleballing?
I don't know how the naming would go. That was also in the original nomination for the 25-35 project. Yes, I think that was a suggestion, just to be more, I guess, what we call it, it's not just tennis, but it's tennis and pickleball. So I think the recommendation was we call it the Racket Center as opposed to tennis center. But I think that would be something that city council or somebody else would manage and figure out.
Any other questions, clarification questions from the committee?
I have one last question, and it's probably going to be answered later when we discuss, getting rid of some of these projects. Will any weight be given to the fact that, in fact, this project was one of the top 5 vote getters? Would it get more weight when we consider closing out projects? I assume we're going to be discussing, different strategies to close out projects. And I would hope that it would, because this was a big vote getter.
And I'm going to punt that back to the co-chair. I think that as a committee, the committee has the ability, right? And I think that's in the agenda report, right? The committee can establish any criteria. I agree with you that, there is value in, higher rated projects. Obviously, those were ones that the committee thought were valuable for one reason or another, and that had public support. So yes, I think that is something that the committee can look at.
And we'll be discussing later as an agenda item. So at that point, public comments from anyone in the audience on this particular topic? Or at home?
Would participants please raise your hand online if you'd like to participate as a public comment for this item? All right, none online.
And anybody in the chamber? Wow, racquetball or pickleball, and we don't have a group. You have one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I also am not necessarily an avid pickleball player, but I do turned on. Oh, am I turned on? So I'm sorry, that's just a question. Okay, there we go. I'm not an avid pickleball player, but I do play quite a bit, and I do play at the Monterey Tennis Center. And it's not just a place to play pickleball. There's bathrooms, they provide water, they have the supplies that you need. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I really support this.
And does that close public comments? Anybody else? Oh, she's doing her hair. Okay,
Bring it back to the committee.
Back to the committee. For discussion. Anyone have, go ahead.
I do think, and it was helpful for point of information from Shannon about the concessions agreement, because comparative the Monterey Tennis Center to the Monterey Racket Club or the Carmel one, the fee structure is much fair. So the way that they structure their fees, it's a lot more accessible for use, especially because they do have the like free play structure where then you can pay for the court rather than having to do a monthly membership. So just a consideration, not free, but at least a little fairer in pricing than some of the competitors in the region.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Jill.
So is there a preference to the schedule for players if you're a city of Monterey resident? Because there's a lot of hotels and stuff down there and
It's a good question. I don't know that we can answer that, given that it's an outside facility that's running it, but Reggie, can we put on the funding a stipulation that it has to have residents lower fees?
But you can make a recommendation, right? This will ultimately go to city council for an agenda and a vote. So whatever is recommended tonight we can capture in an agenda report and it can go to city council.
Go ahead.
also would the private operators be able to hold tournaments and things like that that would exclude regular play for community, specifically Monterey players?
I don't know that we can get to that level of control.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the operation of the facility to make them. But I mean, again, if that's important to the committee, I mean, we can put that in and the city council can have that conversation, and city council ultimately approves all agreements. So, I mean, they can look into that as well.
So if that was part of the motion that we forward to city council, then they would consider that and then they could vote on it. Did you have something? Go for it.
So you mentioned about parking. They park in front of my house. My house has a 1 hour limit. And across the street is 2 hours. And the traffic, everybody moves. So I don't think parking would necessarily during the day be an issue.
Typical pickleball is usually several hours, so they might be, searching for some of the longer parking. I don't know if that's going to affect the housing areas in their area, but just want to bring that up because it's a huge issue in our neighboring city right now, Seaside.
I have one comment. I used to work at something called Laguna Seca. Scramp was running it, and living under a concession agreement, I'm quite aware that the landlord is basically responsible for keeping the racetrack done. And when we had race fees, they had a sinking fund for racing the tarmac. So I empathize with being under a concession agreement, trying to run a business. I would suggest that if the city is responsible for keeping it improved, that this is an appropriate city funding item.
So circling cars add to congestion, by the way. So when you're looking for a spot, that's clogging up all the downtown streets, and that's important. At this point, can't do this or do this. It's interesting, I'm hearing us rehashing a lot of the questions that we asked when we first looked at these two projects as a committee. And when we did that, we came out with the one that's suggested for defunding being the far and away priority. It received 8 and 9 and 10 from every single neighborhood. The idea of just putting some paint on the downtown on a couple of courts was way down the totem pole and kind of just a stopgap. The one we funded is a project approved in 2 years as we built through a long-term plan. That long-term plan started with the help of the city, looking through all the city to find a place to put that. So it wasn't something random. We had hours of testimony on that to come out to our priority, which was the one that suggested for defunding. One of the things we really liked about it is free. Downtown, not free. So we're putting our money in and then you have to pay to use what we paid for. We considered that. The public option and that all these discussions we had, and we got the same blank answer. What I would also suggest to you is that the suggestion tonight to move additional monies in is a scope creep. We just funded a very small project, put a little bit of pickleball paint on a couple courts. It was not a project to resurface 6 tennis courts for tennis reasons. This is essentially the new project coming to us underneath the guise of an old project. And the NCIP doesn't do that. So when I'm looking at this right now, what I'm realizing is we're going to surprise the pants off a lot of people because we're looking in on a day they didn't expect to take away money from a project. They're not here to speak to it. The project submitter has not removed it. I don't see any harm in leaving it alone until we have the submitter come back to us and say they don't want it anymore, or we have the public have a chance to actually understand that nobody's looking right now at this time of year for their project to be closed and withdrawn, and leaving it on the books. It can just go down the stack. Maybe it doesn't happen next year. Maybe it doesn't happen the year after, but it's a heck of a lot easier to go back down the stack and lift it up and do it than it is to start over when we realize the cheaper little project really didn't meet the needs. So right now I would say wait and see, put the little bit of work in that we proposed to do, see how the pricing works out, see how the use works out. If it's not working, this is still on the list. And we haven't surprised anybody by doing something when they weren't looking. If it turns out it works, then we've got a really solid basis for making a defunding suggestion. So that's kind of what I'm seeing and feeling. By the way, we knew when we approved this as a priority, the city was not recommending it. And the NIP committee chose because they said their own values placed it high. And the value of all the people that were coming to the NCIP placed it high, even though the city did not.
And we have one committee member online. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave Overton from Deer Flats. I remembered the impassioned presentations from all the pickleballers that showed up, and that one gentleman in particular that did recommend the Ryan Ranch facility just because of parking and the other things we mentioned here, recognizing though it was to be a little bit more austere in terms of bathroom access and all that. But I agree 100% with Jamie here. I think a decision to go in the direction that's being recommended would be a betrayal to those folks that advocated for what they wanted. So I agree with her. For now, I would say just keep it as is and let those people come back and address their preferences.
Go ahead.
I am hearing just one tension here from this discussion, and it is all centered around the concept of this project ultimately being free access and use for the pickleball courts. Heard from the presentation that that was never actually verified and as a promised outcome, but then I'm hearing that that is the impassioned plea of the neighbors. And so I think that while I agree with what Jamie's saying, let something just sit if there's no harm in it, clarity on whether the outcome one day in the future, let's say if Ryan Ranch was actually built, would it be free and accessible, or would it actually have its own fee structure because of maintenance costs, because of staffing, because of all the multiple things that end up being required with a facility like this, just as we see when you go to the sports center, even if you're a member and you want to do something a little extra, there's usually a fee, right? And so that is just a reality. And so I'm curious just to keep that in mind when people make the decision.
Any other comments? So point of order, I think if we don't make a motion to accept or deny, that it just stays on the book, correct?
Yeah, that would be my understanding. I mean, there's no, if you don't, I mean, you could make no recommendation or you could make a recommendation. I mean, the committee with it as an agendized item, you have the ability to do, you can make any statement you like.
Yeah, because I do recall asking the question about Ryan Ranch, is it going to be free? They want it to be free, but is it really going to be free? And there was no answer.
I don't know if I mean, and if it was free in 2030, it could have a fee structure in 2035. I mean, there's no way for any of us to know or make a promise like that. unfortunately, I guess.
I would say if there's a lack of a motion to do it one way or another, that we just let it sit in the stack.
All right. So are we prepared to move on to item 4?
Hearing no protest, please go to item 4.
So we'll move to item 4. So item 4 is a recommendation to close out the Larkin Park Swings installation project, which was NIP 2325. It was recommended and voted on in the 2022 NCIP cycle. It was funded, I believe, at $60,000. And currently there's $58,401 left in the project budget based on some staff time that was used to evaluate the location and options. So what has happened here when the original project was proposed, it's my understanding that the facility was more open. In the time since then, the city requested that MPUSD allow for more 24 or more use, because it was at one point it was closed during the school day. So they agreed to that request, but in order to make it a viable option, they installed a fence along between the park property and the school property. And I guess the park is part of MPUSD property as well, but they delineated it with a fence so that the park could be open while school was in session, and which has reduced the available space for the swing. So that's the recommendation is to close this project out as there's no place to put a swing. And I'll open it up to committee comment or committee
Any
question.
questions, anybody?
Was this one of the swings for the handicapped? One of those, there were like several requests, I remember, for those special swings where like it wasn't
It was
room.
not specific about being, I forget the name right now, it's escaping me, but no, those were like where they had two people, you could face each other. This was not that specific request for that type of swing.
Were any of those ever put in?
One of those was installed, I want to say that it was down at, like, or Dennis the Menace Park.
Okay, thank
There
you.
was a request to also install one at Via Paraiso.
Right. No,
But there, again, there was a similar situation about the space.
I was just wondering if this was one of, okay, thank you.
Any other clarifying questions from our participants in the audience or in the internet or? Go ahead.
It's in my neighborhood. It is our only park. It is where, neighbors go for recreation. And obviously the swing is not going to work. And since we're kind of doing the shell game with the money, one pickleball project to another, we'll just, shuffle it over. Could we perhaps take the funds that are remaining, put it over on the Harrison Street steps? In the email that I sent, it is where a lot of our neighbors walk, so it's part of our recreation. I did mention it's also the Presidios Park course. They run up and down there. They're very, very, very unsafe. I mean, if it doesn't go through NCIP, I really think it needs to go to code compliance because it's terrible. To the point where, if we can't fix them, perhaps we should take them out of service. So is it possible to transfer those funds, or does it have to go back into the general fund and then a new or we already have projects on two that are out there on these steps that have been submitted. And also just as an aside, this project is so old that some of the money that went toward the swing was from the old brick base allocation. So our neighborhood put up money that was in their coffers. So just a thought, and probably not, but it would be nice. I know it's not a swing to a swing, but it's recreation to recreation.
So I do have, I'll make a recommendation. That is not what I would recommend, but the committee can make that recommendation. So right now we're in design on the stairs I'm gonna my plan is to come back to the committee, request additional funds. And unfortunately, I think it's gonna be significantly more than the 60,000 or 58,000. So my recommendation would be to wait on that.
Sorry, I just want to add, there would be, I think, a violation of the Brown Act. It wasn't in the agenda, but we can bring it back at another meeting. So,
I violated it?
no. No, if we vote on something.
Oh,
Yeah, we can't do it today.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
So that it's transparent.
All right, thank you.
But yeah, like yes, we are working on the stairs and I apologize for the lengthy time it's taken to get there, but we are moving on it.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Clarifying question. If we defund it, it goes to the ending balance. The ending balance would be available should we need funds for some other project.
The city takes it.
Yes, that's what I was thinking is if we defund, we have an ending balance, then we can, when Reggie gets done with design, then we can add it to that. So anyone else have a comment?
Question.
Yep, go for it.
No. Does anyone have committee question?
Not a comment. Anyone else have a clarifying question?
And then open it for public comment.
None on law.
Seeing none, anybody? Go ahead.
Just an administrative. Song.
Oh, not yet.
Just an administrative comment. Is there any effort made to reach out to the original submitter on either the previous project or this one? I think it would be a good idea. I realize that some of these are so ancient, the person's phone number is probably disconnected, but anyhow, that's my only comment.
Any other public comments?
For folks online, if you could please raise your hand for public comment. And none online.
Okay, take it back to the committee for motion. Anyone like to make a motion on this?
Comment.
We have one comment, sorry. Rosemary, go ahead.
Rosemary, you need to unmute yourself. We cannot hear you.
She's still muted.
There we go.
Okay, go ahead, Rosemary. You should be able to speak now.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, the stairs, I agree, are very unsafe. And this has been for years that we've been trying to get this done. So as a matter of safety, yeah, as Sue had said, yeah, it's you know, it's waiting for a lawsuit against the city. That's how dangerous it is. I'd also like to mention that Old Town does not have a park. The place with the swing that couldn't be fitted in is a school playground. So we are really parkless. End of comments.
Thank you, Rosemary. Okay, so now committee comments or makes motions.
So discussion among the committee. Anybody want to make a motion to potentially defund and then use it back for contingency?
I would just take a moment to respond that I think rather than the city getting back to the submitter, it should be the NCIP rep getting back to the submitter. I think that would help the situation quite a bit.
I would agree.
Nobody's in Garden Ranch, though. It's a problem.
Barring that admin point of reaching out to the submitter, I do motion that we recommend city council close out Larkin Park Swings installation and return the funds back to our NCD funding.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, AJ.
Okay, Aguirre Oaks. Aye. Thank you. Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Sonoma Oak Knoll,
Aye.
Deer Flats.
Aye.
Thank you. Del Monte Beach,
Aye.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande.
Aye.
Thank you. Downtown.
Aye.
Thank you. Fisherman Flats.
Aye.
Thank you. Glenwood.
Aye.
Thank you. Monterey Vista.
Aye.
Thank you. New Monterey.
Aye.
Thank you. Old Town.
Aye.
Thank you. Skyline
Yes, please.
and Villa de Monte.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, so item 5, you have a presentation on that or?
Yes. Move on to public appearance item number 5, which is the recommendation to award or recommendation to add an additional $30,000 to the NCP 2418, which is the Deer Flats Park Fencing and Benches project. So this project was part of the 2023 NCIP cycle. It was originally funded at $30,000. And we have recently completed the design for the project. And we've gotten proposal from our city's on-call civil contractor to do the work. The reason why it is where it is in price is a number of different things, but one of it requires some ADA upgrades. It's quite a bit of hand labor work to remove the bricks and then reinstall the bricks. And then we also have to, those are mainly, but also move the fence. So we couldn't just move the bricks. We have to move the fence. We have to remove the bricks in order to then level the area to make it ADA compliant and then reinstall the bricks. So as it says in the agenda report, we have a proposal, I think it was $47,000 to do that work. And with the additional work for that we required for CEQA and for comes out at 60,000 roughly total.
Yeah. Any clarifying questions within the committee, both online and here?
Over here.
How much money is in the contingency fund? Last meeting, we kind of wiped it out with the fire station, didn't we?
So currently, it's $69,514. It's on in the report. So yeah, this would be a significant portion of that. However, there's over 500. No, I'm sorry. There's at least it's 500,000 or 600,000 in the ending balance. And then there's there's funds in there's
600,000.
Yeah, there's 600,000 currently in the ending balance. And then the committee can also make a recommendation to add money to contingency. So, and also there was the recommendation from the finance department to close out the contingency and ending balance accounts, just based on their preference to manage the funds in the fund itself and not in these, it's kind of like a straw man project. They're not actually projects, but that's how we treat them, the ending balance and contingency balance.
We also have 2 online. Scott, do you still have a question? And then it would go to Amy.
I lowered my hand because I have a comment for later, but not a question at this time.
Thank you. Okay, Amy.
What was the original reason for moving the benches? Was it a safety issue or aesthetics?
So the benches were installed, it's my understanding, back when the neighborhood was originally built or soon after. And that space used to be a bus stop, is my understanding. And the benches were placed there for the children and parents to wait for the bus. Now they face the street. There is no bus stop. And the thought was it made more sense and would be nice to use a word, I guess, but it would be preferable that they were flipped and that they would face the field at Deer Flats Park as opposed to facing the street. That was the rationale.
Any other clarifying questions? Seeing none, let's move to public comments. Any public comments in the chamber, on the internet for this?
They have 30, they want.
Scott, we'll come to your comment during the committee comment section. Thank you. But no public comment on that.
Bringing it back to the committee to discuss and make motions on.
So let's go to Scott first for the committee comment.
All right. Good evening. I'm just eager to share a few words. Sorry for not being there in person. So this project is a relatively small one, and it may seem just to be nice and nice to have, but it is quite an eyesore when you're driving down the street to see benches facing they never get used. We have people sometimes leaning on them, looking towards the park because they can't sit on them. But that's the nice to have. If it is currently ADA incompliant, then that's something that should be considered in creating a solution that is good for the most majority of the folks to use. Plus the curb right in front of it, and actually this may be outside the scope of the project, but doesn't have a ramp, so maybe they still have to access via another lowered part on the sidewalk. But really there's two entrances where the fence breaks by flipping the benches around and relocating them just a little bit inwards, which is according to the plan that Reynolds sent a little while ago. This allows for a single point of entry there. And as a parent with a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old, it's nice to be able to have a little more of a control of that access point. Lastly, it is, I think the request is nearly 100% increase. So that right there is statistically significant. However, the magnitude is very, very little. Looking through some of the past or the projects that are still in the scope and in the list, this is very, 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 very small. And then just food for thought, Deer Flats has no projects next year, and only one other one on the books, and it's really small too, or relatively small. So that's all I have. Thank you. And maybe Dave might have an additional comment.
Luce has got her hand up.
Luce, we see your hand up as well for committee comment. In order for you to participate as a member of the committee, you did not give me the details before this meeting, so I do need to ask for a just clause before you begin your comment. Have you been able to hear our meeting so far, Luce? You do need to unmute yourself, Luce, please. Okay, now we can hear you. Luce, have you been able to hear us so far? Please answer yes or no. We still cannot hear you, Luce. So in that case, we will move forward with other committee comments until we can hear from Luce. So Chair, if you can continue to ask other committee members for comments.
Any comments in the room here?
I'd like
Go for it.
to request, not this meeting, but at some point on the agenda, future agenda, can we discuss the contingency fund versus the ending balance fund? And maybe transferring money or getting rid of both, or figure it out, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yes, that should be an agendized item for a future meeting.
So we did that in CIP as well. We had a contingency fund and we eliminated the contingency fund. So now the explanation behind it is that it's not an actual project. It's not a capital project to have a contingency or an ending fund balance. So all the money would still be there. It would be just in the funding and balance.
We can discuss that then.
Yeah, technically, the money doesn't go away. It just doesn't have a project name related to it. It's part of the unencumbered funds. for us accountant types who understand fund accounting. Or the city takes it away. I think that's only Jamie and I'm not sure.
Got a graph.
Okay, any other discussion? Go for it, Jamie.
This is a tough one. When I look at this, what we thought was you just cut the back off and then the bench is used both ways. Or you unbolt the bench, turn it around and bolt it back down. And so when you get to a price tag of $60,000, it starts to not look like the project you approved. One of the issues that we will see is the city has some rules about how much it spends. And then once it gets to a certain point, I think that's how it goes. Now they start to kick in ADA requirements. And so sometimes it's like leave it alone and there's no ADA change. It is the way it is. But because the ADA rules have changed enough from the last time it was done, it becomes redefined and the cost can go very, very high. And I just think it's important for everybody to understand that when you look at what should be a simple little project. But at the same time, I totally appreciate what Scott has to say about the neighborhood and their needs and their view of it.
I don't know, but I know when this project was submitted, there was quite a bit of support for it and from residents. And I think for the cost and the amount of effort it's going to take to get the project done by Reggie hours or whatever you want to call it, it seems like a efficient project. And my tendency is to support this motion or this fund transfer.
And we also have a committee member online. Would you like to take that now?
Yeah.
Okay. And go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I just want to respond to Jamie. Actually, the original intent was just to turn the bench around, but we looked at that and we did see that it was an issue with that. The fence line breaks, so it kind of follows the sidewalk along Deer Forest. And then there's a break in the fence and those pavers go in and then the benches are set back from the sidewalk. And there's a small section of chain link in front of those benches that face the street. So it's behind them actually. So the idea being to turn them around, it also included the fence relocation as well. So that did grow when we were looking into this. So it was to include all that, to relocate the fence line and change the orientation of the fences.
So I'll make a comment. Is this a buildable project till we add the $30,000 to it?
It's shovel ready.
I like shovel ready.
No kidding.
I'd like to do it. I move that we do appropriate the $30,000 because this is an example of the NCIP process in motion where when a project can actually get done if we do something, then let's do it.
But I'll second it.
Before I take roll call, I do need to check with committee member Luce just one more time. Just to make sure. Committee member Luce, are you able to hear us? And if so, can you please unmute yourself? We still cannot hear you, Luce. If you're able to unmute yourself, please do so. Otherwise, I will move forward with committee comment or committee roll call. Okay, Luce, go ahead and try to speak. Are you able to hear us? We can't hear you. Sorry, Luce, we cannot hear you. So we will move forward with the committee roll call. Aguilita Oaks.
Aye.
Alta Mesa.
Aye.
Casanova Oak Knoll.
Aye.
Deer Flats.
Aye.
Del Monte Beach.
Aye.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande.
Aye.
Downtown.
Aye.
Fisherman Flats.
Aye.
Glenwood.
Aye.
Monterey Vista.
Yes.
New Monterey.
Aye.
Thank you. Old Town.
Aye.
Skyline.
Yes, please.
And Villa Del Monte.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, so that takes us to item number 6, which is a presentation on existing NCIP projects. So this came out of some discussions that we've had. I would, with the committee chair and vice chair, just the idea of bringing these existing projects back to the committee, because what we've historically and traditionally done is focused on the next round of projects, new projects, and there hasn't been a lot of attention placed on existing projects. So the goal of this is going to be an ongoing, reoccurring agenda item. And we're going to take it in chunks, maybe 10 to 15 per meeting, just because there's like 70-ish projects in total on the books. So it would be overwhelming to try and go through them all. So what I did this evening, I'm going to share my screen. So I kind of picked some projects at random, just based on which it's at the end of this, so forgive me, but I'm gonna fast forward and then we'll come back. This is this is the next item. So what the goal would be is I'm gonna give you a very brief overview of these projects, and then I'll have it open for committee comments, committee questions. We'll go to public again, and then we can come back. There's no actual agenda item on tonight, but if the committee would like to identify projects to bring up as an agenda item specifically, we can do that. So we'll just go down the line here, and then I didn't have enough time to get to a list of 10, but we can just pull some off of this. So if you go into the agenda and you go to, are they numbered? Item 6, and there's the blue table. We can pick one off or two off of there. So NCP 2501 was a project, right, that was in the last cycle. It was originally funded at $1 million. We had then received additional funding, I think, of $800,000. And so it was funded now at 1.8 million. And that project is ongoing. And we'll have an opportunity to talk about additional forest management fuel reduction going forward. So then NCP 2428, this is a Nation Trail water bottle refill station. 3 have currently been installed. There's a 4th up for installation at San Carlos Beach. The 3 that have been installed are all along the recreation trail. The first one that was installed was near the basketball court and the Coast Guard facility. The second one that was installed was at near not Prescott, near the caboose on the rec trail, directly across from that. And then the third one that has been installed is near the Sand Beach volleyball courts in Window by the Window on the Bay. So this 4th one would be installed at San Carlos Beach, and then that would close this project out. For everyone who drives Del Monte or lives in Del Monte Beach, I'm sure you're aware of the Casa Verde Trail Crossing project. That's been under construction, and my understanding is it's near completion.
Is it close?
It's close. There was some issues with the signal light posts, but I think that's been resolved. That'll be moving forward. And that's one of the oldest projects on the books. And you can tell by the numbering nomenclature, 37N 1214. NIP 2314, Mark Thomas Drive neighborhood sign. We've all been frustrated with this one. It's Caltrans and trying to get an encroachment agreement to access the location and install the sign. The sign is ready to go. We just don't have that agreement from Caltrans. NCP 2416, San Bernabé Drive road design. So this project has been on the books for a while. We've been pushing on it. The design is complete and it's in CEQA review currently. As soon as that's complete, the plan is to take this out for requests for proposals. We'll evaluate those and take this to city council for award and construction. The NCIP committee in the last cycle approved, recommended roughly 1.67 million for the construction. So that money is there. NCP 2410 Oak Street 500 block widening. We're at 60% design. And I believe we have the agreements from all of the property owners along that stretch of Oak Street that we were seeking. So we're moving on this, and this one will be, we need to get the design done. I would imagine in the next 5 to 6 months, probably be ready to, same process, go to our festival proposal, go to city council, construction. NIP 2308 Webster Camino El Estero rapid flashing beacons. The design is complete, and this is in the books to go out with some upcoming curb ramp projects in the downtown area. It will happen. I know it's been a slow go, but it is in the books. Mark Thomas separated bike path, that NCP 2404 contract has been awarded and designed. This is a significant project. It's going to take a while. And once we have something to show, we'll bring it to the committee. But this is a long bike trail that's envisioned to go from Casa Nova Oak Knoll down past and make, turn on slope and go down to the recreation trail. So this has some conflicts with the bridge that crosses over Old Salinas Highway or in that area at the fairgrounds. So there's some work to be done and just trying to figure out the right of way and some other things. So those, I believe, based on my memory, that's 8.
$1 million project for bikes.
So then I can, at this point, I'll open it up to committee questions.
Two parts.
And
City every day.
and we can go to public comment.
Said all that.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I guess the question I have is can you put this in chronological order, the oldest first? And then because that's kind of how my mind works. I'd like to know what the oldest ones are and where we're at on those.
This list has some of the older ones that are on the books. So like I said, the Casa Verde Rec Trail, for everyone's information, so how the naming nomenclature has gone over the years. So the 37N project, that's a pre-2019 project. So that has some longevity to it. Then the NIP 20, those types of projects, I think those were 2019, 2020, 21, 22, and 20. Well, there were no 22 projects, but then 23. So then starting with the round of projects that were recommended in 2024, we replaced the I with a C. So now they're NCP projects. So those are NCP 24 and 25. And the reason, if someone asks why aren't they NCIP, it's because of the number of spaces that are available in the accounting system. So, I mean, that's just how, we don't have enough spaces. And any other questions? Ed Scott?
For the Mark Thomas bike path, is there any way to guess what it's going to look like? I mean, when I drive through there, there's barely enough room for 2 lanes of cars. There's not enough.
I don't want to guess.
We have conceptuals.
We do have conceptuals that we can bring, but I'm not going to guess.
Okay, I've just been curious more than anything.
Online?
They're not online, no.
I think we might have something in our mobility plan, but I'd have to double check.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
So the question doesn't really apply to the design ones, but the ones that are in construction, how are we looking as far as costs and budgets and estimated to completion costs, that kind of stuff? Are we running short on some of these? We're doing okay?
So I think the Casa Verde Rec Trail is an extremely complicated project, and it's probably doesn't, it would be hard to say, I think, and I don't have the information currently, but we could get it. But as my understanding that the funds that were, the NCIP funds for Casa Verde were matching funds for federal grant. And so it's a big pot with a lot of different funding sources. So I think the short answer is we don't have any intention to come to NCIP for more money.
No. Mayor,
Yes, please.
do you think with that project, we found that construction costs didn't escalate too much? The problem was sourcing the poles and the materials for that job.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think, sir, we'll get to you in public comment in the back. So if there are any more committee questions, I guess we could look. Oh,
Yes, we do.
Amy Stoker's raised her hand.
I just want to sort of clarify, are we looking at this in an effort to decide some of them not to continue with, or I guess the purpose, what is the purpose of sort of going back through these existing projects?
You want to take that?
I'll take that one.
Sure.
Yes. You know, while we reviewed the open projects before and suggested some of them get defunded, that was prior to the pressure of the city budgetary shortfall. I think it's prudent for us to take a look at the projects that are out there that aren't being worked on. My understanding is everything that's in blue are things that are actively being worked on, in which city staff has spent time trying to get those to matriculate to an end project. The next section, which is the yellow section, which is 47 projects and an aggregate open balance of 9.3 million, are the group that I would like the committee to focus on because they haven't been started yet. They haven't been touched, and there probably is good reasons why they haven't. That being the case, I believe that if we show to city council that we're willing to give up some of those projects to help fund the $10 million shortfall, which they have other things that they can do, which is raise taxes, which takes time and voting, et cetera, to do. So they may need some funds from us, that we review the items that are yellow on Reggie's list in groups of 10 or 15. There's 47 of them to see whether or not of that cadre of money, that's 9.3 million, are we willing to suggest be defunded to help the city with their hour of need? I don't want to have happen what happened to us in the COVID period, which there was no discussion, no conversation with the committee, no understanding of why we approved projects. In this case, council has actually said, we want to remand this back to NCIP to make suggestions. Council has already reached out and asked for a joint meeting. I think this is preparatory homework that we should do on the yellow projects to see what it is that we think we can offer.
Do you have any other questions? Okay, thank you. And then the committee member, Dave Overton, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I do not see, I thought we approved in 24 Deer Flats project for, it was the electrical disconnect servicing the electrical on that traffic island, but I don't see that listed in the open projects.
So that project was recommended by the NCIP committee to city council, but city council chose not to fund it. So it was never actually created or funded.
Okay.
So that would be one where the rep needs to follow what council does with NCIP's advice to council to see whether or not their project got through. True?
Yes.
So just like the FAA, when they do NTSB investigations of airplane crashes, we just learned something.
So there were 5 or so projects that were recommended for funding, but were not. There was like the new Monterey neighborhood plan. There was the Deer Flats project. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but the city council resolution is posted on the NCIP website under, so we've identified a few I would call important and relevant resolutions. So for anyone who's interested, you can go back and we have the resolutions for like each year for like the last, 5 or 6 years for approved NCIP projects are posted. And those items are included on that list.
And believe it or not, I actually looked at some of those today. So I know they're there. Any other committee comments? Questions, sorry.
What, if we're looking at taking apart the yellow and coming back with some guidance on them, what would the time frame be? I think the city's moving faster than NIP would probably move on this.
That's a good question. I think we'll go through committee questions, give it to the public, and then we'll come back and discuss that. Anyone else have any clarifying questions online or here? Public comment?
So open it for public comment. You can come to the podium, please.
Yeah, if you should wait, but yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes, my name is Gina Sessions. Thank you for work and.
I have to turn the mic on.
Okay, my name is Gina Sessions. I'm an alternate and I'm also a project owner. And so I would like to really commend you, Reggie, for starting this process, because it's hard sometimes being a representative and talking to your neighbors and folks that don't know what you're doing. What we're doing, and we should be able to have that communication. So I think that's really positive, even if it's about things that may not be rising to being worked on, because there's only so much work a person can do. And also, I really appreciate hearing that there's some consideration of having the open conversation with the city. I listened to the city council meeting last week, and I really feel that some level of coming together and negotiating out how the budget needs to work is appropriate, because we are part of the city as well as part of the NCIP, and we need to have the city thriving for us to be thriving. And I had my project actually stopped in the COVID. So it was kind of on and then it was off and now it's on again. So it's very disruptive and hard. So thank you for all of those items. Thank you.
Still on?
Yes.
Okay, Robert Noe, I'm with Castle of Oak Knoll. I just wanted to talk on 2 projects, and the first one, I want to give you kudos for staying with it. I'm dating myself, but I go back to the Casa Verde Rec Trail project. I actually was on the public visioning section. The reason why that went through was public safety. It is the most dangerous intersection on the entire rec trail. People have been injured and actually killed there. That's why it went up to the top of the list. And it was complicated. In fact, I want to compliment the consultants that did it. In the public workshop I was in, they were going to combine the bicyclists and the pedestrians in the same pathway crossing Casa Verde. And I suggested, well, if you're going to do that, you need to make the bicycle trail at least 12 feet wide, because you have high-speed bicycles and low-speed pedestrians. They wanted to do the same thing with the street. And as you look at it now, the design has changed remarkably. It is going to be safer. And carry on with the Mark Thomas Drive. Years ago, when I used to walk to school at MPC in 1970, it was very dangerous. The same trail is there today. It's almost 50 years. I was on the group that's proposed the Mark Thomas Drive because it is really scary, but it's the only way for us to get from Kona down to that side of town. So if you could, I know there's going to be a budget shortfall. When someone wants to drop the Mark Thomas Drive, we tell them it's for safety purposes. We don't want to lose anyone there. We lost people at the Casa Verde Trail before they approved it. So please keep the Mark Thomas Drive in there in the budget. It's been a long time to fix that trail. Thank you. And kudos for staying with that project. It was complicated. I mean, it got really complicated. So thank you. Okay.
And none online.
Okay, so committee comments. If you have questions about how the city is going to try and fund the $10 million deficit, I did a spreadsheet of what their voting was that they were going to look at. They came within $50,000 of what I suggested, which was raising taxes. But taxes don't happen fast enough. Andrea looked at my spreadsheet and put dates on it and said, it's not going to all happen this year. We need to have it happen sooner. So there's going to be a shortfall. And I think there's going to be a request to us. We haven't had council tell us exactly what it is. I would like to see us agendize the first 15 and the next 15 and the next 17 for the next 3 meetings. City council is not going to be moving fast to get a voter initiative to raise taxes. So I do believe we have time. I would like to put that in part of the agenda for the next 3 meetings so that we have some feedback about what it is we think we can do. But that would be my proposal to the committee, subject to discussion. And yes.
And just so everybody is aware, we are trying to schedule a joint council SCFP meeting. So we did send the dates to the chair and vice chair this afternoon. So we are scheduling it. We just don't have a firm date yet.
Yes, and previously it was displayed that it was September 24th. The current best date that they want is September 22nd between 4 and 6, or Tuesday the 30th between 4 and 6. So I do believe we have a little bit of time in between. But to be proactive, I think we need to look at particularly the projects that Reggie's not currently working on, because I don't want to disturb work that's already in process. And I don't want to disturb the Mark Thomas because it's important, or any of those other projects that are in process. That doesn't mean that I want to give up on any of the yellow projects. I want to review them. I want us to review them and make appropriate recommendations. So do you need a motion to put it on the agenda for next time, or?
We do, but we can have more comments until then.
Go for it. So
I like the idea, but I'd like to see it in chronological order as we review. So I want to see the older projects first, then please do it in chronological order.
thank you. That was going to be one of my other questions for Reggie. Could you add both the voting totals that they got in that period and what year was it actually approved? So we can have that on the yellow list to think about.
I might suggest those 2 are fields that are on the list, but you put it in order of completion. With the least completed at the bottom, or first, sorry, with the least completed at the top. If you can, I wouldn't spend too much time on it.
I was just going to say, give it to me in Excel. We'll do it. Well, I don't speak English. I speak Excel, and I always kid that I'm ESL.
Dennis?
Yep.
One thing, I think it would be good if that if we define which project we're going to discuss, that the neighborhood reps can reach out to the submitters so the submitters know that their projects are being discussed and have a chance to participate.
That's why I'm suggesting we work with the first 15 on this list, and that we know that would be the first meeting, the next 15 on this list. That way we have notice to the public of what we're up to. They can look at this sheet, the net reps can get a hold of the people, and we can have a public discussion about what we're up to. Because the way it was done before, I don't want to see us do it that way. And I don't think that's the way to communicate with the public. So that's just me. Any other comments from the committee? So would you like to make that motion?
I make the motion that we start reviewing the yellow projects And in chronological order, or to Jamie, that they also include completion and also include the voting count.
So for simplicity, can I make a friendly addition or change to your motion? We'll use this list and we'll use the first 15 on here for the first meeting, the next 15 for the second meeting, the last 17 for the.
Okay.
That way, Reggie doesn't have to redo this list, he just has to add to it. Okay. I like to be kind to staff sometimes.
Keep things moving.
Is that friendly emotion accepted?
Okay, so if that's the first by Kurt with a modification by Duke, then it's Duke. We just need a second.
Can I second? I'll second it, whatever.
Yeah, we'll have a second. All right, roll call. Aguilita Oaks.
You repeat the motion, sorry.
Yeah, so the motion is to agendize the items that are printed in yellow on the sheet, with the first 15 that are currently listed be for the next meeting, following 15 the following meeting, and then the following 17 for the following meeting. And then with each of those meetings, there'll be chronological order, what was the voting count, and what year it was approved by. So, yes.
If we do it by chronological order of how many votes they got, it'll change the list. So I would just say add that.
No, yeah, the detail will be, will not be what we have supporting that, yes.
Yeah, but the list will be as currently organized.
Thank you. Okay, Aguilita Oaks.
Aye.
Alta Mesa.
Aye.
Thank you. Casa Nova Oak Knoll. Aye. Deer Flats.
Aye.
Thank you. Del Monte Beach.
Aye.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande.
Aye.
Downtown.
Aye.
Fisherman Flats.
Aye.
Glenwood.
Aye.
Monterey Vista.
Aye.
New Monterey.
Aye.
Thank you. Old Town.
Aye.
Skyline.
Aye.
Villa Del Monte. Great, motion passes.
Thank you. I think we're going to be doing the appropriate things that we need to do for the city.
Okay, so now we're on to item 17. I'm sorry, item 7.
The agenda does feel long, but it doesn't have very many items.
Item 7. And 7 for me. And I'm gonna, again, apologies, now I'm gonna go in the opposite direction on this yellow. And then we'll start at the top and work our way down. So we're not gonna spend a lot of time on these projects. We're just going to, the idea for tonight would be just to go through maybe some highlights. We can identify some projects for consideration for consolidation. And I'd ask the NCIP representatives to reach out to the submitters. Everyone got a book tonight. So you have your book. You can go find people in the projects. And when we come back, starting next week, because we'll be back here next Wednesday, we'll start going through the projects and more methodical by one half of neighborhoods, and then we'll do the other half.
And then for the members of the public that would like a copy of it, it'll be available online on the NCIP website for the nominations book.
Okay. So just some highlights of this year's projects that were nominated. We received 73 nominations by July 31st, by the July 31st cutoff. The predominant number of projects, 20, were for things like sidewalks, trail improvements, and bike facilities throughout the city. We had 15 projects for city facilities, buildings, Wharf 2, the public safety facility, those types of things. We had 12 projects for traffic-related type of projects, stop signs, speed bumps, radar speed signs, those types of things. Parks and recreation-related projects were 9, those for parks improvements generally. Water infrastructure, we'll talk about those. There were 4 projects, things like Hartnell Gulch improvements. Fuel reduction, again, 4 projects. A couple of them were in specific areas like Deer Flats and Old Capitol site. I'm not Deer Flats, sorry, Fisherman Flats, no capital site. 3 art-related projects, murals, in particular. 3 projects supporting undergrounding. And 3, 1 of each in these categories, 1 maintenance, 1 what I'm calling operations, and one project seeking to purchase a current vacant lot for an additional park. So those were the 73, and then they're divided out actually pretty evenly amongst the traditional split of neighborhoods. None in Aguajito Oaks or Deer Flats, 1 in Alta Mesa, 2 in Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande, 2 in Fisherman Flats, 2 in Glenwood, 8 in Casa Nova Oak Knoll, 5 in Del Monte Beach, 15 downtown, 3 in Monterey Vista, 11 in New Monterey, 3 in Oak Grove, 2 in Old Town, 1 in Skyline, 18 multi-neighborhood projects, and 0 is in Ryan Ranch and Villa Del Monte neighborhood. So we actually had, let's say, 3 neighborhoods with none, a couple with 1 and 2. I think, but this is traditionally, I think, how it's fallen the last couple of years. Casa Nova Oak Knoll with a large-ish number. New Monterey, I think, comes out on top again, with downtown and multi-neighborhood kind of taking a lion's share again, but those just because of what's in those neighborhoods or areas. So they hit on, so the one in Alta Mesa is a project at Lake Lagunita Mirada Park. The proponent is looking to improve the lake and the walking path. 8 projects again in Casa Nova Oak Knoll. So we have some, I grouped some of these just for ease of conversation. So traffic speed, so we got 2 projects in this neighborhood looking at speeding and speed control and traffic control and so on. So those were speed bumps and radar speed signs and increased police enforcement. Recommendations. As a committee, there's not much we can do about police enforcement. Radar speed signs are going to come up again. Speed bumps, the city has a policy currently that does not support speed bumps. So I'm going to recommend that those projects be removed, but that's something that a conversation we can have. Casa Nova Oak Knoll 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all recommendations for various improvements in Casa Nova Oak Knoll Park. Adding a water fountain, specifically one with an option for a dog bowl. That would be something similar to what we've installed on the recreation trail we talked about earlier. Resurfacing the basketball and handball courts. As staff, we don't believe that those courts need to be resurfaced currently. Updating and replacing garbage receptacles, and that is something that we can look at. The gates and lighting project, as staff, we think that that's something that can be done outside of the NCIP process. It's not, it's something normal wear and tear. The calisthenics area equipment, the park staff recommends against this. The park is not big enough for this type of equipment. And again, we're really focusing on current facilities and current equipment. So to add something new right now is not really something we recommend. The last one in this neighborhood is to redo the sign that's in front of that Travelodge Hotel, the Welcome to Monterey, the City of Monterey sign. And there's a couple of these various projects throughout the city, recommendations. There's none in Deer Flats. There's 5 in Del Monte Beach to install railing. It goes down to the beach. install recycling and cigarette receptacles. Take a toy, leave a toy box. I think staff still has some reservations about this project, and it's just, we don't have the staff to police it, so to speak, and make sure that somebody doesn't leave something that we wouldn't want kids to come across, and who we don't know what would be in there. So that's our concern on that.
Totally, yeah.
Again, here we had a speed bump project, install speed bumps on Surfway and Beachway. Again, the city has a policy that does not support this. Split rail fencing along the boardwalk. We recommend against adding split rail fencing just because we see that it gets vandalized and used for campfires or other types of bonfires. So, but that's something that we can talk about. These come up. Del Monte Grove project submitted to replace the non-functional radar speed signs on English Avenue. A proposal for a street light at English and Branner Avenue. So projects like the street lights, not so much with replacing, what was there with the radar speed signs. Street lights, again, this is a place where I'll be looking specifically to the neighborhood representative to get the, neighborhood and specifically affected neighbors buy-in on those types of projects. Downtown project to upgrade the railing along Hartnell Street. I would say I support that. It's in need. Hartnell Gulch improvements. There's two different projects to do different things at Hartnell Gulch. So one is specifically in this area, and it would be to remove some of the invasive species, restore the creek, and to improve this area for the public. Calle Principal bike path connection going from the Custom House Plaza down to Pearl Street to connect to a future bike facility, bike trail that would be on Pacific. Replacing solar panels on and upgrading the solar system on 735 Pacific Street, which is the city's Human Resources and Finance Office. Pearl Street bike lane. So there is there's a bike lane. It's along the entire length of Pearl Street on the north side. There is not one on the south side. It's kind of intermittent, and it doesn't exist in some places, or the striping doesn't. So to make that, more established, and then we had two projects for this. And I understand that the project proponents have agreed to combine it.
Right. Yeah, we've been in contact with them, and they will combine it with them.
Okay, we have a project to do some upgrades and ADA improvements to the library.
Yeah.
There was a project to upgrade or restore this display boat. Fortunately, after reaching out to harbor staff, their position is that it's too far gone. So we're going to look for a replacement. So that would be a different project than what was submitted, but.
Boat that just sank.
Excuse me? Oh, the boat that just sank? This might be in a similar condition. There's a project to reestablish the DJ walkway along Fremont Street from, forget which street that is, and the off ramp all the way down to where it across in the frontage of the cemetery to where it turns into concrete sidewalk. Project to reinstall Dennis the Menace statue at the park. This is the one that it's really a city operations decision. It's not. It's not a funding decision. The city. It's my understanding that Dennis the Menace statue. There's two now.
There's three.
There's three.
Two bronze.
Did you guys want to talk about it briefly?
So there are three statues of Dennis the Menace at this point. There are two bronze statues. One is at the El Estero Park Center on a very nice base that was fabricated by Metal Specialties. The other one is at the Monterey Sports Center as soon as you enter the lobby on another nice base. And then Parks has one in Dennis the Menace Playground next to the train. And that is fabricated out of something that is not enticing to steal. So there are three statues of Dennis the Menace in each of the three divisions of the Parks and Rec Department. And so that's why we don't support bringing a new statue back to the playground that requires security cameras or anything like that.
Okay, DT 11 is to reinstall Welcome to Historic Old Monterey sign. It's at this intersection, right in front of the Casa Moonrise Hotel and across from Denny's, which is off on that side of the photo. El Estero Park Center facility improvements, again, including ADA upgrades. There's a second Hartnell Creek Park improvements project. So this is geared towards making some improvements to Hartnell Gulch, but then also Hartnell Creek, but then also including it's a separate park and I'm trying to think of the word, an area where people can gather over on this side of the library. El Estero Park large barbecue area improvements. So the committee recommended an awning, a large covering for this area, but now we're looking at doing some other improvements, including adding a concrete pad and upgrading some benches as well. Deer Flats, two projects. One is a path improvement between Via Casoli and Olmsted Road. Staff recommends against this project. Majority of this property is in the county and is county parks responsibility. Fisherman Flats Park and Greenbelt fire prevention. Again, staff recommends against this. Park is regularly maintained by staff, and we would recommend the larger Greenbelts and fuel project to address fire prevention and fuel reduction. Two in Glenwood. One is the old Capitol site specific fuel reduction. Again, staff supports the citywide or multi-neighborhood larger fuel reduction project. Oh, that's interesting how that happened. But this is, ignore the Fisherman Flats part. This is to replace someone stole a solar panel off of this rapid flashing beacon. So it would be to replace that and maybe harden it to make it more difficult than to repeat. Monterey Vista, storm drainage extension between Via Ladera and Dry Creek Road. We do El Dorado Street and Abrego Street, Moonrise Avenue sidewalk infill. Colton Street, San Bernardino all-way stop sign. So there's stop signs on Colton Street, but not San Bernardino. So this would require a warrant study. So before we can install the stop sign, if it's warranted. New Monterey projects, work on, improve. There's a walking path on, there's some stairs that you can see on the right-hand side, then go down to a walking path. On Irving Avenue right away between Parcel Street and Linden Street. Belden Street, so this was the property purchase project, 98 Belden Street. Noise reduction, quiet residential area zone area or zone street signs in New Monterey. Hilltop Park Center renovations Phase 2. Drake Avenue sidewalk infill. 499 Drake Avenue and Lane Street specifically, so it's on the Lane Street side, 499 Drake Avenue. 800 block of Pine Street sidewalk repairs. This is some examples that were provided by the person who nominated this project. A public restroom in the Cannery Row area. Lighthouse curve, preservation and road improvements. The proponent is recommending something similar to these concrete blocks that would go up along this cliff hillside. Schulte Park Center facility improvements. Funding to implement the Oak Street widening, a 500 block that we spoke about earlier. Hilltop Park Center mural upgrade. So this is one of those mural projects I talked about. So talking about extending the mural, that's right now it's 3 panels. So it would go the full length of the building, parking lot side. Oak Grove projects, add a raised crossing at the recreation trail at Park Avenue. Another project to replace radar speed signs, if you can see here. So where this speed limit sign is above this was at one point a radar speed sign, and over here as well, there was one there, but they were taken down because they were non-functional. Mural on slope at Highway 1 underpass, including some landscaping improvements. Old Town, we have one to upgrade, replace the wooden stair path at the end of Van Buren Street. This goes across to Artillery Street in the Lower Presidio. And the project to do some drainage improvements specifically around Colton Hall. What you see here is what happens when you have a hardscape and the rain splashes up onto the soft stone that was explained to me. So the stone actually erodes when it gets wet. So that's what this would be for. Bryan Ranch, there's none. Skyline 1. So pretty much, I mean, half of this project is to improve this walking path along Skyline Drive from Veterans Park all the way up to Skyline Forest Drive, which is what you would take to connect to, I think it's off of here, to connect to the 68 Holman Highway. So it's a pretty long stretch. None in Villa Del Monte, the multi-neighborhood projects, nomination to upgrade the railing along the recreation trail. Nomination to upgrade or replace the portions of the retaining wall. We have 2 different projects for the public safety building. One is to look at different alternatives and placing it, I believe. One is to do some interim improvements, and this comes specifically from the police department, just because the facilities are in need of some immediate attention. A proposal to remodel public restrooms in high-use areas across the city. Replace non-functional radar signs. So this is what I would call an all-encompassing project. These are, I think there's 10 or 11 radar speed signs across the city that were either installed more than 10 years ago and or are not functional. So Sloat Avenue, West Franklin, Glenwood Circle, that was one that stole the solar panel. Thank you. English Avenue at Grant Avenue, Prescott at Fillmore. Via Isola, there's 2 there that are not functional. Jefferson Street, Iris Canyon, David Avenue, and 820 Casanova Avenue. We have one to implement, some specific recommendations from the EDA transition plan at the Monterey Sports Center, Monterey Library, Schulte Park Center. We have 3 different ones for utility undergrounding. And we have 2 that are community-wide forest, multi-neighborhood 815 for forest management. And we have one that's for squeegees at placed at parks across the city. We have 2 different Wharf 2 projects. One is to actually provide funding for either to match a grant that the city just submitted for on Monday of this week, and/or to do repairs to the facility. And then one is to look at different alternatives and uses at the Wharf 2. So a feasibility study on how it's being used and if there are other options. Community-wide celebration of Native Americans, which calls for installing a mural. So this would be our 3rd mural project at a point along the recreation trail was the nominated location. Currently, where there's this Sarah Landing mural. We have another project recommending the installation of bike racks at various locations across the city. And this one is just an example of the bike rack that the person had identified at the Hartnell Professional Center on campus off of Hartnell Street, Bonifacio Place and Taylor Street in downtown, Del Monte Avenue and Figueroa Street, Steinbeck Plaza and Cannery Row at Prescott Avenue, various locations along Lighthouse, and various locations along the recreation trail. Fire Station 13 renovations funding. And that's the end of, that's all 73. So again, tonight it's just kind of an overview. And there's some in the agenda packet. There's also some of the notes that I went over in the presentation can be found there. And again, we would add at this point, the NCIP reps kind of go out to the proponents for various projects and get their feedback and input. And then we'll spin in earnest next week, but I'm open for questions and then public comment. We'll start with Hans. I think his hands up.
Okay, one of the, I guess, ideas tonight is that we're going to talk about projects that, whether they're valid or not. And I'd like to go to, I can talk a little bit about Monterey Vista.
Having questions, then yeah, we can talk about that, but we're asking for questions right now and then public comment and then committee comments.
Well, actually, Kurt was next and then we'll come to Jamie.
Just a question. At what point will we get an estimate of the costs for some of these projects? You knew that was coming.
We know it was coming. I don't have an answer. We'll get them to you. So on the first slide, I forgot to bring it up, but voting night is November 16th as currently scheduled. So before then?
Weeks before then, but okay.
19. Yeah.
Or sorry, November 18th. Okay, Jamie?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I clarify. I think tonight is the night where we look at it and say, this is a project that NIP can do. And this is a night when we look at it and say, hey, maybe we can do it, but we think traffic or parks should just take care of it. We're going to have that conversation now.
We can, if you would, I mean, well, after public comment.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Chelsea.
I have a question that relates to many of the traffic related project proposals. It's statement and question, so I apologize for statement at the beginning. When I worked for DOT, I recall a study done on the temporariness of efficacy of the radar speed signs. So as a short-term mitigating factor. I believe it reduced speed somewhere between 6 and 7 miles per hour due to habituation. That basically came back to nil. And I know that there's a policy on the books of the city of really not doing much else after radar speed signs in terms of other traffic controls like speed bumps. And I understand why it's not an attack on this. My question then is, has there ever been a presentation to NCIP, or could there be, to actually talk about you know, the long-term effectiveness of this as a traffic mitigation, of putting our funds towards it, of other options that we might have as a city and residents? Because I think it would be very worthwhile, instead of us potentially just putting more and more money into something that it does, unless our traffic speed signs, which I don't think they do, the last time I checked with PD, are also collecting data for then further enforcement action, which I do not believe we have. And I worked on that side too. So on the PD side, that's useful. It's not useful otherwise. So can we do that?
So, to answer.
Yeah.
That's right. You're absolutely correct. So, with the radar signs, what happens is I think folks like us who are, I want to say, people that are mindful of our speed in neighborhoods. So I do think that when I do see 27, I go back down. So I think it works really well for us. Does it work well for everybody? No. There's a reason why in residential areas, we cut it off after 32.
Yeah, it goes too
That's
fast.
right.
See it all the time.
We don't want to reward anybody that wants to go see how fast it goes, right? They do collect data. The older ones, not very reliably right now. Unfortunately, our plan was, when we were fully staffed, wishful thinking, is to get the times of day where the speeds are higher, than to give that to police for enforcement. Because we do get a lot of calls that say there's a lot of speeding on my street. And usually it's very helpful, because we're also short-staffed in police, is to tell us, you know, what day of the week, what time, is there a time where it's worse? So they do have that capacity, and to also do counts, right? Road counts.
I have a question, and I don't know if Tice is ready for this, but on page 35 to 44, there's nice consolidation of the types of projects. Tice, would you like to see these as 4 projects, or would you like it as 1?
Is it forest management? 1, please. Make life.
Thank you. That was the answer I was hoping. Appreciate that. Any other comments from the committee? Questions? All right.
Open it for comment.
So, public comments?
Okay, if we can have everyone that would like to speak on this comment, on this agenda item, please raise your hand. I will note it. And in addition to those that are online, if you can please raise your hand. I have noted 1 online, and then please raise your hand. I see 6 in person, so I will 7. Okay, so we'll first do the 1 online, and then we'll go over to the 7. For the 7, you can either decide among yourselves who to go first, or you can stand off to the left. Anyway, thank you. So first online. Esther, you are good to speak. All right. Esther,
Okay,
try
now
again.
I just got unmuted. I didn't get
Yes, thank
unmuted
you.
right away. Yeah, hi. I just I wanted to make a comment about the radar signs. We recently installed one on Casanova on the 400 block, and it's a double-sided one that Reggie did some great work getting. I believe that sign does have the capacity of gathering information, but I don't know if it's not doing it, but I don't know if there was like a missing, I think there might have been a missing piece of equipment or something that we didn't get and we were waiting on, or something like that. But I can tell you that visually, the neighbors on the street, we literally can see how it is working. So unless you're talking about Car Week, I can tell you that the signs are working. My second comment has to do with the undergrounding project. that's on the list. You know, undergrounding would be great to do and great to have all throughout the city. There was a huge push by a certain neighborhood or a certain NCIP rep that was really pushing for a couple of that for the undergrounding. It is such a huge project to do, just like a block, that if you guys are looking to be practical and find some, like a big amount of money to shift over to something that is needed more in the immediate future, and that's going to affect people that are still alive, because really any of that undergrounding is not going to happen in our lifetimes until the whole city gets done. It's going to be 2 generations from now if we're lucky. So I just want to make the suggestion of possibly taking that gigantic chunk of money and putting it towards some other projects, or making it available to what the city's going to come after or something, just because of the impracticality of it actually coming to fruition. Thank you.
And now we can take comments in person. Thank you. And we'll be giving 3 minutes per comment.
So I'll offer the counterpoint to the previous comment. I'll say, I'm an advocate for undergrounding. One of my projects is one of those 3, but mine has a significant nuance to it. What I'm proposing, and I don't think this has ever been done in the past, is $2 million a year for the next 5 years. So what that would mean is next year you would have $2 million, yes. Year after that, you'd have 2 million less. So you would short circuit a lot of what you're doing here, because that would already be pre-approved for a total of 5 years. I think what the previous speaker was addressing is a little bit defeatist. If you don't start eating away at this, it will never get done. It will be a self-fulfilled prophecy. So we have to start at some point in time, and it may not benefit me, but it's not about me. It's about our future generations and making us a better community. So that's why I would advocate for it. You're supposed to be the leaders of today and the future. So I'd like to see Monterey be a better place for future generations too. So, and I'm not sure which project of the 3 is mine, but in either this agenda item or the next one, you're going to start talking about mashing things up and rearranging them. So I would ask you to please not throw the one that I advocated for into the same pot with the other 2, if they're just for a singular year's worth of funding. The other project I wanted to outline is the mural on the recreation trail. Reggie, thank you for showing the proper picture, but the description in the write-up online at least was incorrect. It was my older original version that was in there. So I want to make sure that gets updated and you're all aware of that. And lastly, the pedestrian barriers here on Hartnell, as well as on the recreation trail. I had a part, even though the Big Sur Land Trust turned in the one for Hartnell, it was me who asked them to turn it in. And so I think that is a project that could potentially be combined, because it's basically the same skill set. It's the same trade. It's going to be steel workers making barriers, and you might have an economy of scale by combining those together. Although if that somehow or another torpedoes a project in the future, I might regret suggesting that, but it might make things a little easier to combine this. So thank you very much.
Hi, I live in the Alta Mesa neighborhood, but this library serves all of my neighbors. I volunteer here in a few capacities for the library and collections, for the Friends and Foundation in used book sales, and this year as the chair of the Board of Library Trustees. We've submitted a proposal to this committee for the most urgent repairs and upgrades, and I hope it will be approved. Prior to the pandemic, the City Council received and endorsed a feasibility study from an architectural firm that outlined the need for a renovation and expansion of the current library at a cost of many millions of dollars. Given our financial condition, little progress has been made to address these needs. The public library is funded by the city. Donations from major donors and the Friends and Foundation enhance what can be done with that basic budget. These generous outside resources are amazing, but they can't put a dent in such overwhelming needs. Since we won't be undertaking the major renovations anytime soon, we need to chip away at the most urgent priorities wherever we can. The NCIP proposal before you identifies the projects that cannot wait, and the money cannot be found anywhere else. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lee Besler and I attend 8th grade. The Monterey Public Library serves not just me, it serves all my neighbors and the entire Monterey community. As a student and a teen, this library has become an important part of my daily life. It's where I can focus on schoolwork when I need quiet space, find resources I can't always get at home, and connect with people of all ages in a safe, welcoming environment. It's more than just a building with books. It's a place that allows me to succeed and feel supported. One of the renovation proposal highlights the importance of installing a permanent power generator. And from my perspective, this would make a huge difference. When the city experiences power outages, it's not just about the lights going off. For students like me, it means struggling to keep up with schoolwork, losing internet access, and being disconnected from friends and family. If the library could remain open and powered during these times, it would give students and families a reliable place to charge devices, stay warm, and continue studying. It would make the library an even stronger source of comfort and resilience for the entire community. I want to emphasize that young people like me truly care about the future of our library. We're grateful for the chance to be part of these conversations because we know how much this place matters. These improvements would make it possible for the library to keep serving not only today's community, but the generations who will come after us. Thank you for considering this proposal and for supporting the library that means so much to me. To my neighbors and all of Monterey, thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Edie Laktan, and I'm a freshman at Monterey High. And I live in Oak Grove neighborhood, but this library serves all my neighbors. I just want to quickly start off by saying that I'm honored to be able to talk about a place I love so much. I'm a Monterey local, and so I've been coming to this library since I was 3 years old for story times or pajama nights. And this library is really different than other libraries, and you can especially see that in the community that comes here. And specifically for me, this place goes way beyond books. I have many fond memories here, and even now I'm a part of the teen advisory board, which plans events for teens. And so I often come here after school when I have the time. Because of the location of this library, there are a bunch of people who come here, like high schoolers, elementary students, unhoused individuals, older adults, and so many more groups of people who use the space. And many of the some of the main things they essentially rely on are things like water fountains and restrooms. Students at my school usually don't get the opportunity to use the restrooms at school because we don't really have that much time. And so after school, many high school students come down here and use the restrooms. And this isn't just limited to students at Monterey High. Once again, many other people in the community use the restrooms here. And being able to accommodate the demand with more sink space and more stalls is really important. Another one of the major things that people utilize here are the water fountains. Having things like a water bottle filling station would be extremely beneficial with allowing more people to drink water. A lot of students have sports after school, and so being able to come down here before those kinds of activities and fill up their water bottles with clean water would be extremely helpful. I really do believe that by improving these aspects of the library, it would help the community in so many ways and help the library to become even more of an awesome place than it already is. Thank you.
That's a really hard act to follow. Both of them, I think, articulated why the library project is so important. And so I'll just take a few moments to add my 2 cents. I'm Shannon Connor. I'm currently the president of the Monterey Public Library Friends and Foundation. And as you know, the Friends and Foundation, our mission is to work with the library to raise funds to support the development of programs and the improvement of the library and then its services and resources consistent with the library's mission and goals. We are an all-volunteer organization that works diligently to raise funds beyond what is allocated in the city budget for the library. We do this through MC Gives, Chocolate and Wine, used book sales, and direct gift appeals. While we're proud that the financial support we've provided has resulted in improvements to the library's physical space, programs, and services, the reality is that we will never be able in the position to fundraise the level required to make the necessary physical renovations that are laid out in our proposal this year. The proposal that's been put before you identifies the most urgent needs to improve accessibility, energy efficiency, critical infrastructure, and our archival capabilities. Monterey Library has always been more than a place to borrow books. It is a gathering space, a learning center, and integral to the fabric of our city. In order to remain this vibrant resource for our community, I ask that as we go forward, you support the library's proposal. Thank you.
Children get it.
Past member of NCIP. I've said this before, and I think it's very critical now. If you looked at the budget listing last time, NCIP showed 3 maybes by council to hit it and for their money. And I think this is the time that NCIP has to really show some change in the process this year, that adding a whole bunch of projects to the 73 is not going to help your standing with the city manager and council. I'm not saying, because we want to keep NCIP, we don't want it to go away, but adding to the list when you're going to turn around and go through the yellow projects that have been funded to get rid of them doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm just hoping that you will consider this in your decision making. I think it's time for big ones. If you want to fund the library, give them $2 million and do it. Yeah, I know it's like that. Undergrounding, $2 million, or forest management, $2 million, and get rid of it. And don't load up Reggie with 50 more projects that aren't going to be done. And then in future years, you're going to be cutting and having to go back to those people who submitted and said, oh, sorry. So it just doesn't add up right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And then there's just one final one. Yeah, just the one final comment. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Casanova Oak Knoll has a rather interesting project that's probably going to come up and people are going to debate it because they're going to say, why are you doing this? Do you realize it costs $100,000 for a groundskeeper to take care of a park in the city of Monterey? We have a park in Monterey that if you go to Google Maps, Google Casanova Oak Knoll Park and look at the reviews, it's probably the most used park in the neighborhood, in the city. I live right across it. I'm downwind from it. I'm very familiar with the trash. And Casanova Oak Knoll is submitting a proposal to replace our trash cans. Why? The park every weekend has hundreds of people using it. Years ago, we used to have a very bad trash problem. It got really bad when we put in a picnic center for groups. They moved the few trash cans we had from up on top of the hill down to the community area, and the people cooking their meals on a barbecue on next to the, on the upper slope, they're just too lazy to take their trash downhill to the main park can. So over the years, we've badgered, and thank you, the park district, for finding spare trash cans. We now have a trash can for every single picnic table and every single barbecue, including extras down there where the community center is. A couple years ago, we finally replaced the chain link fence around the park. that got rid of a lot of trash from the kids getting off at the school bus and throwing their candy wrappers around. Because once you have a really nice looking fence, we have Tuesday night motorcycles. Once you get a really nice looking fence, people don't throw trash out there. But now we have a really nice looking fence. Thank you, Reggie. We got a gray galvanized fence. This went all the way through COVID in 3 NCIP cycles. And Reggie finally found a place to get a galvanized gray fence to match one we put in 10 years ago. Well, anyway, now that we have a nice looking fence, the trash cans are looking pretty poorly. And they aren't really, I think they're reaching their end of the lifespan. I asked my wife, should we replace the trash cans? Oh, well, that's what they look like. Well, they do look like that. So anyway, what we're asking for is enough money to replace all the trash cans in our park with something more modern so we can keep the trash down and save time for our groundskeepers to have to pick up that trash and me downwind who picks it up off the sidewalk. So this is going to be like a silly project when you get into the serious millions of dollars for undergrounding. But this is truly a neighborhood improvement project by replacing our trash cans. So thank you for 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Sad when you got
All right, now for committee comments.
So Jamie, I see you're anxious.
So clarifying comment for us, tonight is a screening. And so the advocacy really starts on September 17th. So to save time, we have several other agenda items and for the public to understand, I don't think we're supposed to be advocating right now. We're just looking at it. And so when I look at the 73 projects and I take some notes, I have 4 things I want to put out in front of us. One, I believe enforcement goes off the list because it's not a capital project that we can fund. What we do right now tonight is we just cross it off. 2, I believe that squeegees goes off the list because it's not a capital project that we can fund. 3, technically, I believe that speed bumps goes off the list because it's not a capital project that we can fund, but I believe we can refer back to every neighborhood's traffic calming plans and see whether there are alternatives that have not been explored and revise those projects. And number 4, what we used to do to try and save NIP money before it had some cash is we used to refer things back to other departments. I believe that parks may already have a stack of bike racks and not need the additional funding. So 2 of those are kind of questions, and I think 2 of those are kind of done. I want to put all of those out there because they address all the questions that I saw on the screening list.
So like I was saying earlier, I think part of tonight is to look at valid and versus unvalid projects. And I just want to go through a little bit in our neighborhood, Monterey Vista. The first project, MV01, is a project that is basically on private property. It's doing drainage work, they want to put in a pipe to keep erosion down in an area. And I've talked with Chrissy about this. It's basically collecting several storm drains, but it's across private property, and it is basically water that naturally flowed through there before even Mar Vista Road was built with a drainage system. So I believe that project is not a valid project, MV01. I've talked to the submitter, and although he is not withdrawn it, he is working with a city outside of MVNA to address this issue. MV02 is a sidewalk project in front of a business. And my question is, it's an infill project there. There's a section of dirt and where it hasn't been paved. And is a sidewalk in front of, there's a curb there and everything else. Is that considered, even though it's dirt now, sidewalk, is that the responsibility of the business to upgrade it from dirt to concrete if that's what they want? Or is it that a new enough project or whatever is considered a capital project when it's in front of a business?
Did the owner submit for this?
Yes, well, the hotel manager, I think, submitted it.
Yeah, so
Sure.
done sidewalk and fill is part of NCIP, but it is the property owner's responsibility to install sidewalk. But we have also,
But we've done it in residential areas, but the question is in front of businesses, is that different? Yes, it's this project and it's the hotel that's on the.
right,
It's the Francavilla Hotel.
I don't see anything that prevents NCIP from funding it, but I do think it should be the property owner's responsibility.
Okay, so it'll be up to us to decide, okay. And the third project is a MBO3 is a request for a stop sign. And it's probably better to be a traffic calming project of some kind, but we had a stop sign request last year up on Via Gayuba that cost us, what, $100,000 to do a study, or it was quite expensive study.
It's not 100,000.
Study? Okay, how much was the study?
I don't know, but
But it was an expensive study that led to not being able to put in the put in the stop sign.
it's from the single thousands. It's like 1 or 2. It's not.
Oh, okay, no, I misunderstood.
We're not doing.
That's good. But the studies was, okay. So anyway, I will get back to him saying whether ask him whether he wants to do the study or whether he wants to do more of a traffic calming. That's it.
The comment was raised about the undergrounding amount of money that we set aside. Would you like to speak to the $5 million on North Fremont?
Oh. I would love to. So we have credits from PG&E. And I apologize, I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I'm just gonna rough order of magnitude. So we have about $4.8 million in credits from PG&E for undergrounding of North Fremont. Right now, I think in city funds that are earmarked for that project, I think we have about $300,000. We don't really have a timeline from PG&E. We've been meeting with them about every 6 months. Our project is still an active project. It's going to probably require somewhere around $5 million from city funding in order to complete it, or more, depending on construction costs. And a lot of the different cities, if you're not ready, you lose it. So they don't wait for you to be ready. They come to you when they're ready to design it. If you don't have the money to fund it, they go ahead to the next city and you fall out of this line. So that's our current status on the Rural 20 project for North Fremont.
So basically, we kind of need to leave that 2.3 million of NCIP funds to get the matching funds that we are eligible for, or whatever else we add to that pot. Even though it's a project that we probably won't be able to do anytime soon, but we can get whatever portion of that we can fund of the 4.8 million, if we came up on the list for PG&E. I wanted the rest of the committee to understand that that's out there as a reason why we probably shouldn't just take all the undergrounding funds. And maybe, I don't think that we can do a grant of $2 million over 6 years with $2 million per year. I think we would have to do that as an annual voting, so on. But I want that in people's thinking if they're thinking about undergrounding. And I'll leave my opinion out of this about underground. But I think those facts are relevant for people to know. I have another question for staff on the fuel reduction with Tice's comment. Can we make that one project, or what do we have to do to execute that?
Well, I mean, historically, we've requested the various submitters to either agree to revise their proposal, to withdraw their proposal, or it goes up for vote if they won't. And as city staff, we recommend support of the most broad and general of the forest management project. So like I said, the Fisherman Flats and the Old Capitol site, those two, we recommend against, don't support. And then I think the other two are various, I don't have them in front of me, but I think those, I mean, so yeah, we would recommend to condense it, or withdraw. Just, I mean, for various reasons, but I mean, for simplification, for voting and discussions, and it just gives the staff more flexibility.
I think the more that we combine the projects and make them bigger projects, and if we approve a dozen to 24 projects rather than 73, that will help with the backlog. And I think that would be more advantageous to have significant projects. I agree with Pat Vance's comment. Any other comments, discussions on this item? Before.
Agree with you.
Just in terms of a question for the city, I know that we're going to have a discussion about grouping potential projects, and curious to hear your thoughts on, somebody mentioned earlier about, grouping projects based on the type, like the railing, for instance, versus location. Seems that there's a number of projects in the Lighthouse Bend area, and determining whether or not that's more feasible in terms of, or more palatable in terms of taking on a project from your teams.
So are you referring to the newly proposed projects?
And I guess in potential combination with historic ones.
Existing, I mean, we already do that, I would say, to a degree, right? We're already like finding projects that are similar, have similar scopes.
Okay.
And trying to consolidate them and, just for various reasons. We can talk like,
there's that in mind. Do we need to go through the session right now? Is it still beneficial to that process?
I mean, I think the railing project is maybe unique in this round. There's not a lot of other ones that come to my mind. I mean, I think last session or cycle, we had like multiple sidewalk projects that could have benefited from that. And I mean, I will still implement them in that way. I mean, again, there is effort and there's time spent on project management, right? So, I mean, if you have less projects, there's less effort, there's less money to manage them. So in general, I would say, yes, we should consolidate where we can. I mean, if you get rid of bookkeeping and I mean, there's, right, with every item, even if it's $1,000 project, there's process. Similar, yeah.
Go for it.
I'd like us to refocus. What we should be talking about is what Jamie brought up, is the projects that are not NCIP projects. And clearly enforcement and the squeegees are not. And we need to be, for example, downtown, I went through all the projects and they are completely capital projects. So every one of us should have done that before we came here and said, yes, they are capital, or no, they're not. But we have those two for sure. And if there's more, that's what we should be focusing on with this particular item.
I totally agree, and I was going to bring the committee back to that. So
Thank you.
I believe Jill Del Monte has told us their opinions on those things. The Skyline, the one that was requested, I believe, is a valid project. Hans, do you want to comment on in your neighborhood?
I did with, I think.
394.
So you're good.
I'll comment on mine. Lee Whitney from Glenwood. Pardon me. I'm a firm believer in putting projects together that are alike, and fuel reduction is a perfect example of that. Doing sidewalks is another one. It's more cost effective, even the radar signs. It's more cost effective when you can put them as a project instead of throwing out $20,000 here, $20,000. That's how much those radar signs, if not more, are. And if we can get 10 of them at a really good price, it's more cost effective to the city and to our budget. In my neighborhood, I have put in, I have 2 fuel reductions projects in. One of them is the old Capitol project. And the city's already taken care of that request. And the whole entire month of July, if you drove over around by the old Capitol site, I don't know if you thought you were drinking heavily, but yes, you did see 400 sheep and goats grazing on that 135 acres over there. They went through and cleaned up a lot of that underbrush. And yes, it really did happen. So a lot of that debris has already been cleaned up in Glenwood in the old Capitol site. Fuel reduction, I put it in for the entire city because I think we all have areas that need, and doing it as one project is more cost effective. Thank you.
Jill, do you want to comment on your projects, the good capital expenditures?
My photographs made them.
Oh, we don't have a project.
Oh, you don't have any projects? Okay. Starting to work my way around the room. Casa Oklahoma, no?
Yeah, so for ours, we do have the 2 traffic speed reduction requests. One, I think, is maybe what's being classified as enforcement, although the resident was like, I really don't care what happens. Can we just have something on the street? So if it's focused solely on, and we can go back to the person who submitted this, but if it's focused solely on the second part of theirs, that is a speed radar sign that they're requesting, that would be the crux of it, which does fall under NCIP. The second one obviously does not, because of the speed bump policy held by the city. So understand that. Dog pounding falls under our funds. While it was expressed by Reggie that the city disagrees with the basketball court resurfacing, it's not a request for refreshing because that surface is old. It's because that surface is very unfriendly, very unusable, and results in a lot of unnecessary scrapes that our residents have concern. So it is a request through NCIP. Whether it gets voted is a different issue, but I feel like it fits the scope. As you heard, we have the trash cans also fall under. I know there's a lot, I'm sorry, making through. We had the request for an addition of a calisthenics gym. It was noted, I believe, that there's a feeling by parks that we lack the space. However, that is something that can be discussed on voting night. It does fall under the scope, and the person who submitted this, I've spoken with. What they have in mind is actually quite small, so maybe I can go back to them and get more comments for that. And then last but not least, we have our Monterey sign, which also falls under. So I think nixing COK 02, and then I'll get amendments for 1 and, or I'll get updated information for 1 and 7.
Good, thank you. Scott?
I'm easy. DMG01 is the radar sign that'll be rolled into the Biggie. And DMG02 is really a repair project of an existing street light on that corner that got knocked out in the big December storm. And I've talked with the submitter about it, and here it is, but ideally it could be just a repair issue. But the corner is dark, and if the existing light can't be repaired, then I think it would be a valid submission as a new project. That's it.
AJ, you don't have any projects? Here?
Yeah, I have 2 projects. One was nixing FF01 because part of it's on county property. And then FF02 was the fire prevention that could be maybe lumped in with something else. For Fisherman's Flats, the green belt and the park, trees, trimming and maintenance.
Cool. Thank you.
Old Town has 2 projects. One are the stairs, the Van Buren stairs. That's not a repair, that's a replace, it's pretty much gone. Careful Street steps, they present kind of a safety issue. The other one is drainage around the old jail. And again, that's a preservation issue. While we're at it, what happened with the repointing? It's kind of off the subject with Holton. Since there was talk about fining or getting,
So, yeah, we mean for, again, just efficiency, recommendation is to do like the drainage improvements and the repointing. Cause I mean, the issues are intertwined. I mean,
so those are the two projects.
Cool, thank you. So we have everybody here. So what about people online? Parker, I'll let you run that one and
Yeah, so first, could we please have Amy Stover for your neighborhood?
Yeah, Alta Mesa has one project and it is a viable project. As a matter of fact, I think we may have done this project in the past. And the person who submitted is still very interested in having the work done. It's a challenging project just in terms of there are a lot of agencies that control the pond itself and doing any kind of work there in terms of cleaning that up and weed control is a bit of a scheduling nightmare between all the agencies and there's some time constraints. So it is a challenging project, but it is, I believe, a valid project. My biggest concern is the health of the lake itself. And making sure that the reeds don't choke the lake out. So that's the only project we have on the slate.
Thank you. And then there are no projects in Deer Flats. So then there were 3 projects for Oak Grove. If we can have Lou speak, I will unmute you. So if Lou, if you can try to, okay, it's like you're unmuted. If you can try to speak and you can speak to your 3 projects. We're not able to hear you, Luz. Unfortunately, we can't hear Luz, so we can't get any feedback for Oak Grove projects.
there's only the ones.
And there are no other projects to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Riverview Mara.
But if I may, I've been trying to file a list here.
Yes.
Might be helpful. So what I have right now is COK02, which is the speed bumps project. Fisherman Flats 01 is recommending for the pathway improvements because it's in the county, removing or that one. Fisherman Flats 02, combining that with the larger fire prevention project. And then the which one was for Oak Capital Site? Give me on the fly.
John, that would be in the.
No, Glenwood. Glenwood, it's
It's 88.
GW01, thank you. For Old Capital Site. So that's, right now, the list I have is, just to recap. So, okay, it's COK02, GW01, FF01, FF02, MV01, which is the storm drainage on the private property. So those would be the ones I have on my list.
Chelsea has a question.
I do apologize. I put an asterisk to have a follow-up question. You noted something and I didn't quite catch it for COK 06, which is the replace gates and bathroom lighting. You mentioned that may not be NCIP. Can you elaborate?
No, I was just saying that we can just manage those, because I mean, it was like replacing the lighting or upgrade the lights. I mean, I don't think it could be just withdrawn because we could do it.
Okay, the one, for clarification from talking to the neighbor, the one is replacing the lights, which Jess agreed. The second portion is actually on kind of like full restructuring of that fence, that gate area that is around the playground due to the access issues. There used to be closing gate mechanisms on that, and now it is just they're open. And so the request is actually to
we keep
reinstall a closing gate opportunity.
So just keep it. We can evaluate it later. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, COK02, GW01, FF01, FF02, and MP01.
How about the projects that, like the garbage cans and squeegees that are really not, that are not fixed?
Squeegee, yeah.
You know, there was a.
I'm sorry, I forgot that one. Which one is this? Is multi-neighborhood 09.
Identified enforcement.
And
It was a part of large. Okay, so then it's 6.
The garbage cans, are they, I mean, is that a legal NCIP project?
Question.
Done it in the past.
But which? It's a CO.
I don't know.
I'm just asking, I'm just not.
Sorry, yeah, we'd have to bring it back next week.
But I don't think that's so, you know, it's about the cost of getting a study for a stop sign. That's
Okay.
$1 million. Thousand.
So yeah, at this point, unless anyone needs to make specific motions, we have reviewed the projects for eligibility. So we can move on to the next item. Yeah,
Are we gonna look at downtown?
We're all.
Oh.
that was briefly commented. Thank you.
went down the checklist, so I think we got everybody.
All right, so are you gonna make a motion? The committee, they don't have to, no.
Yeah, no, that's like a motion on this one.
Okay, so then we're moving on to item number 9, which is,
I'm voting my approval.
did I skip one? I'm sorry. Item 8.
Boom.
Kind of sort of did that.
Oh, yeah.
Say we sort of kind of did, right?
No, I know.
I think it's at this point,
We consolidated 7 and 8.
Consolidated 7 and 8. I apologize. Okay, now I see. I think we did. Does anybody have any, I guess we could open it for public comment on the consolidation of projects, but I mean, we discussed it. I'm sorry.
Tom Reeves doesn't want to speak to that.
Tom, say something.
I had a premonition this would happen, so I already spoke to it.
Thank you.
So we'll move on. I apologize. We'll move on to item number 9, which is a agenda item for the NCIP committee to discuss prioritizing NCIP project nominations, which we kind of also already did. For this upcoming cycle, with, I think the goal is to, based on feedback from various, the NCIP meeting and city council conversations, just to read this last paragraph in the agenda report. The express goal of the new cycle is the ability of the NCIP committee to review current, one express goal. So one of these items is to review existing projects, which we talked about, and then to consolidate and just have fewer projects this cycle. Limit the number of project nominations recommended to city council for approval funding with the intent of city staff to focus on the backlog of active existing funded NCIP projects. You could also discuss prioritizing larger multi-neighborhood, larger and/or large multi-neighborhood projects to address issues facing the community overall. So this is intended as kind of an opportunity for the committee to have an open discussion to where and there's no action necessary. So we're open for any questions.
Open for committee questions on, do we want to consolidate things? I think everybody does. So, Jill.
Has there ever been a history in this committee of maybe limiting the amount of projects for neighborhood that are submitted?
The way that NCIP operates with the public having an opportunity to submit any projects that they want, that would be kind of contra to that. So I think we have to be open to what we get as project submissions. We maybe have to decide the best of our ability, what's in the best interest of the city, and make the recommendation to city council to approve after our voting night review. Which ones they ought to approve so that we can get Typically, city council goes with what we go with, but they have the prerogative to not. And this last year, they did some changes to what we went with. NCIP has been around for 40 years. And I want to see this program survive, so I'm willing to bend a little bit at this point and help the city with what it needs so that we can have this program for the next 100 years. Because it's been good for 40 years. I think it should go on for a longer time.
It just seems that maybe more of the footwork could be done at the neighborhood level, not just with the rep, but you know, with the neighborhood meetings and neighbors discussing what their priorities are together. And it was kind of hard in our neighborhood. We just now have a new neighborhood.
Some neighborhoods, it's harder than others, but yes, I've been preaching that it's incumbent on the rep to help us get the right information and make sure that it's got public support behind it before we put a light bulb in front of somebody's house and have them complain about it, which we've had. And other things like that.
Okay, so we are still just taking questions. We should be limiting discussion right now because we do need to receive public comment before a committee gets these discussions. So if you do have other questions, please ask the questions, but if not, we need to ask public comment first. Okay.
Let's do public comments.
Okay, I see two, and there'll be 3 minutes each.
Do we have any online?
Not online.
Thank you.
So you should all have this ingrained in your memory. 6.6D of the city charter, you'd ask a question, Dennis, about can the committee recommend a multi-year project? Last sentence, 6.6D, recommendations may include multi-year projects and funding. So I asked the city attorney, hypothetically, could the NIP committee nominate a project for funding over 20 years to bond finance something? Her answer came back, I'll refer that to the city manager and the finance director. So interestingly, in her response, sounds a little ambiguous, but it wasn't no, which I take as a positive. And then this morning, I reached out to the city manager and finance director, and I didn't hear no either. So I think it's within the power of this committee to recommend a multi-year project, and that has numerous benefits. It cuts down on the workload of staff because instead of a whole bunch of little chip shot projects, you can have more large projects. It could even be a 20-year project. If you wanted to finance the building of the safety center, whatever it's called, Fire Station 11 and et cetera, sure, it's $100 million, but I don't know what the debt financing would be on that. But you could say, we'll do that over 20 years. And then that way, you just, every year you meet, you got $6 million minus whatever the debt repayment is. This is what your leftover is for the other projects that the neighborhoods want to have, which I agree with you. I don't want to see the NIP go away either. I think these little projects are important to the neighborhoods. But also, it's pretty obvious that staff's getting swamped with the workload. It is, I've been there, I've done it. So there's a lot of overhead associated with each one of these little projects. The other thing I'd say is that work with your neighborhood associations too. The representatives on this committee can't get around to all the neighborhoods. At least in New Monterey, we have a significant infrastructure already set up to reach out to neighbors. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. And I don't know how any one of you can go and knock on all the doors in your neighborhoods, unless it's a very small neighborhood, to get the pulse of the public. And I think, in our neighborhood, I think we've got 350 people on our listserv. So at least we can reach out to those 350 people. So I'm not just advocating for my project for the undergrounding, but I just think that's maybe a smarter way to approach this, is to have multi-year funding for projects so that you're not killing yourself with 1,000 paper cuts.
Undergrounding would be good.
Thank you. Did we have another one?
For a 20-year project.
So that's an interesting idea. So I wanted to comment on that. But I kind of feel like NCIP is at a really important point. Ideas like that are one way to approach it. Another is for us, I think, to be really realistic about what we can do where the staff is not taxed and kind of with a mountain of paper, where people in our neighborhoods are not saying, so whatever happened to, and where the energy that this committee puts towards the improvement of our neighborhoods and city really is felt broadly. I personally believe that means we need to have a lot more negotiating approach with the city right now. I think it's a bad time. I don't totally understand our city's finances because I'm pretty new, but it seems like a time where we have a chance to really look differently about how we operate with those great ideas or with just taking a little bit of a break for a year. However it turns out, or as Pat said, just sort of breathing through the next year rather than doing. So anyway, thank you very much. Work is appreciated.
Thanks. So back to the committee for discussion.
I have a comment.
Yeah, go for it.
So we had talked earlier about when you do your price analysis, it's also would be good to know a little bit about the Reggie time involved, because I think some projects like fuel reduction that really don't require any of your time are allow you to concentrate on other projects, and knowing how much of your time is involved in different projects or would be required for different projects would be, I think, a valuable way for us to prioritize projects as well. So if that could be done, I think that would be great. You know, some indication of how much time it would require of yours.
And that goes kind of to what I said at one of the meetings, that we should have a complexity index.
Yeah.
But that, the more I thought about that, the more I thought it's really a project complexity index, because if we do a crappy job of bringing you a project and we haven't thought it out, then his index is higher, but it's our project. So I think we sides need to own it. But
I'll give, if you let me, I'll just give 2 points. I mean, I think that I support that idea in general, but I mean, it's also like, it takes work to tell you how much work it takes to do it, right? That's and then my second comment is projects that take the most work, or projects that require consent and, you know, from the neighbor or from the neighborhood. So I think the number one thing that people can do is just take on that load, right? It's getting, you know, the neighbors to support, or finding out early in the process if they're not going to support it, right? If they're not going to support it, then we can get it off the books, or we don't, or the committee doesn't vote for it in the first place, right? So, because then that frees up, because every time you touch a project, it's time and it's effort. So I would say though, those are my 2.
We haven't said it, but I'm going to say it again. We have in the past set money aside for land purchase. And I know in my neighborhood, some of the comments I got were, well, why don't we spend the 6 million on buying land and building a homeless shelter? So we, at least in my mind, we should be putting money away for purchase of more land. So we can go off. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had a project, it was like 3.2 million or something like that, to buy some land to build affordable housing. So we had at that time before COVID, we did have the money. So I think if we take some money away and put it against purchasing housing, that's going to reduce, just by our voting, number of projects, because we reduced the funding.
Yeah, my comment on that is I see projects that are pretty major already. I think forestry, the fire department projects that have to get built, the police department, short-term needs, as well as a long-term home for the major fire police facility. The wharf, consolidating speed signs into one project rather than half a dozen or 2 dozen or whatever. And the ADA projects. I have to tell you, when I broke my neck, I spent a week in a spinal rehab hospital, Santa Clara Valley Medical, which is Stanford's teaching hospital. I was in a wheelchair for a while. What we do for the ADA people allows the city to be more accessible, both for our tourists and for our residents. I believe ADA is important. I believe it's a major ticket on the city's docket that needs to be taken care of, and they don't have the money. The reality is, Public Works has a zero budget. We are the source that is going to have to help the city through a little storm. If we help them with this storm, we have a project or a program that can go on for the next 40 years or 100 years. If we don't, we have problems. So I think that when I said we have to kind of bend right now, that's why I'm at by that comment. And Jamie's got to look. Go ahead.
I wouldn't say, Ben. You know, I think we've come back again and again and heard and responded. And last year we had several multi-million-dollar projects because we had the resources. We don't always have them, and we spend it. So it's not bending. We are listening and we are trying. And we haven't had a voting cycle yet for this year. And so I think what's amazing is to see how the consensus forms. We have these discussions to get these ideas out. When it comes to voting night, you're going to see projects 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10. Everybody agrees that's a good project. Those projects, if those are the big ones, that takes care of all the money and it's gone.
Right.
So the process naturally allows us to prioritize if we have understood these needs. And I think that we can say to everybody in the room and out, we've understood this. We've talked about this a lot.
And that's one of the reasons it was so hurtful of what happened in the COVID period when they just took money and didn't talk to us because we had reasons for it and we knew what they were. That's why I'm trying to be a better partner with City Council. And our current leadership is trying to be a better partner with city councils that they invite us to have joint meetings to discuss it rather than take actions without our input. So I think we're going in the better direction of the long-term future of the program. Wow. Willing to hear other comments.
Speaking of that, could we move on to number 10 then?
Yes. Well, assuming that there's no more comments, I'll go for number 10.
Agenda item number 10 is follow-up discussion from the most recent joint meeting with City Council and Neighborhood and Community Improvement Program Committee, which was back on August 19th. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so on August 19th, public appearance item 11 at the City Council, it was the evening session. And in the agenda report, I just captured the actual, what do you call it? The minutes from the City Council meeting. So I captured those, the minutes from the meeting in our agenda report here this evening. And just for everyone's reference, so you had it. But if you remember, the chair, committee chair Chinyari gave a presentation on the amount of time and effort and energy that the committee puts into reviewing projects and bringing them forward. And so it was just, and then the council. So we had that meeting, and then in the last City Council meeting, there was a discussion about the city manager brought up the structural deficit in that joint meeting, and then it was reiterated at the last City Council meeting. So the purpose of this item this evening, well, and then they're also trying to schedule one more joint meeting with City Council. But the purpose for this tonight was just give the committee an opportunity to discuss what they heard from the City Council and kind of, I guess, how you guys would like to approach this upcoming joint council meeting. So that's the presentation. Take questions, go to public comment, and then come back to the committee.
Any questions on this item from the committee or online? None. Any public comments about this item?
Okay, we have 1, 2, okay, just 2. So we'll have 3 minutes each.
Sure, what the heck? So 6.6C of the city charter. This is relevant to what the city council can and can't do. By affirmative action of 4 members of the city council, reduce the amount to be appropriated for the neighborhood and community improvements. So I think the past actions of council actually ran counter to the city charter where they de-appropriated funds that already had been appropriated. So I think now is the time for you to have the discussion with the council. And not this, I'll show you mine if you show me yours kind of a thing. You need to get the cards out on the table. If they need the money this year, why torture yourselves going through all this process? If in the end of it all, they're going to say, we need 2 million, we need 4 million, whatever the number is going to be. I mean, let's not have this little kabuki dance thing, and just to have some mature conversations with them, find out what they need and be done with it, because they really should be working on the future budget, not trying to take money from past appropriations, because it's pretty clear in the charter, I think, that it's money to be appropriated. So I think now is the time to have that hard conversation with them and figure out, what it is they really need. I think you made a good point, and that is that the timeliness of some of these other measures they're looking at may not come in time to solve the problem for the next fiscal year. So of all the matrix that they went through at their last meeting, there's some things they can pounce on pretty quickly, but then there's some things they have to put on a ballot. And those obviously aren't going to take place rapidly enough. Thank you.
I don't think I can say it much better than that. That's what I pretty much had to say. But I would add one thing is that I think that's even extra important because I have opinions about what I wouldn't want them to do. And I'm not assuming anyone agrees with me, but the sooner that this issue is on the table, maybe some of those less attractive options might sort of be less attractive. Thank you.
Thanks.
None others online, so now the committee comment discussion.
Any comments, discussion for us on this item? Are we tired and we want to go home?
Well, will this meeting take place before the city council makes a decision on NCIP funds, or most likely?
As I previously commented, if the council has to get on the ballot, which the earliest they could get is June next year, and then the next one is November, or I guess it's November and June.
Yeah.
Yes. It's going to take a while to get there. So, Jamie asked the question, do we have the time to do the review of the 47 projects? Yeah, I think we do. I don't think they're expecting an answer around the 20th of the month when they have a joint meeting with us. I think they're probably going to give us some expectations. I have told them directly in public comments that I do not want this funding cycle funds taken at all, because we have so many things in the city to do. I haven't seen a number from Tice about what he needs, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's another $1 million. Our forest is in terrible shape. It needs help. I don't know how many people on NCIP, also CERTS, but I know the chair and I both are. Yeah, there's another one. We're out there with the fire department and the police department, and we see what's going on, and it's a little dangerous. trees. I've seen many of them go through houses. Station 12 got funded by some of our good actions. Station 13 needs another $400,000. The police department, the way it looks, there is a contingency fund for $375,000 for that facility. It's not enough. Andrea spent more than that last year just trying to keep it running. So we need to take care of that infrastructure. Somehow we won't be attractive if police and fire can't come to your house. We need to attend to those things. I also think the ADA load on the city on what it's budgeted to be is huge. And if we don't take bites of that, very much like taking bites of the undergrounding, it's not going to happen, but it's a requirement. So I think we have many large things in front of us that I would suggest that the council not take this funding cycles. And they are having a meeting on the 12th, and I plan to speak to council directly with public comment saying, don't take this funding because it isn't new funding. We are doing what you need to do for the city. And I made that comment last time and I'll reiterate it again. So I think we're doing the right things with looking at the 47 projects. We currently have 94 projects on the books. 6 of them have been taken off. 41 of them are the active projects that Reggie's working on. The remaining balance on those 41 projects is 8.5 million. On the yellow projects, as I call them, 47 projects have only had expenses to date of about 95,000, and the budget balance is 9.3. We want to go look for money, and they haven't even had a chance to touch the projects yet. Maybe there's problems with those projects. The contingency balance is in there. There's money there that's not even pointed to a project. The ending balance is there. Between the contingency and the ending balance, there's like $600,000, $700,000. So there are pots of money that don't impact what we can do going forward in the future. I want to see big projects that get big things done that don't have a lot of work to get them done, that are almost shovel ready, if not shovel ready. Station 13, there. The ADA is pretty much there as far as I understand. Wharf, that needs to be studied to figure out what to do about it because it's falling apart. So we have many large ticket items to take care of. So I think we can do that in less than 2 dozen approved projects and not increase that backlog of 94 projects by a whole lot. Increase it by 20, I think would be good, particularly if they're executable. But that's where I sit. The rest of you guys get to vote too. So, yes.
She used to be the chair.
Yes, she was the vice chair, and then she got to be chair when the other one got kicked out.
Yeah, I know, ran away. So yeah, what I would point out is that when all the money was taken the last time, it was absolutely crushing. And this was crushing is because of how much work went into that. And it was just wiped out. It's, I have other things to do. I don't need to be here and then have my work undone. That's what hurt. So I would point out that if somebody wants to take some of this money because they feel like the things that we do are not adding value, that should happen up front. And we shouldn't be second guessing and spending all our time and then having it taken away later. So, and the other thing I point out is the city shouldn't be balancing its budget on one-time funding sources. And we only get a 16th of the percentage increase that went on. The entire TOT is in the general fund and it is huge. The city's budget is 200 million. The amount that you want to take from NIP can't solve it in the long run. So I think that message needs to come out. If you need it, take it. But understand that the long-term issues inside this budget don't go away this year. the NIP cannot sign it. So I want to not whitewash the critical decisions and make it okay and make it look like it's just a judgment against NIP. Because it's really much larger than us. And again, I could do something else for the rest of this fall and not meet just to have all my work undone.
What I'm trying to do. We keep the voting cycle and we look at the back projects, particularly if we haven't had a chance to touch them yet. Maybe there's issues with them. Let's get the 41 that we have ongoing and look at the 47. But don't you dare take my 41 because they're in process. Staff has spent time, we have spent time. Execute. And let's do projects that are executable. That's my take. And I know I feel like I'm lecturing, so. Daddy's on his soapbox again. Any other committee comments?
Not on this subject.
Go for it.
I know it's getting late, but my takeaway from the meeting, I remember the city manager talking about the idea of tacking on a maintenance component to each project. And we got stuck on the definition of maintenance. You know, is it? We can talk about it now or later, or I just wanted to throw that out because that's the impression that I came away from the meeting with.
I need to read them.
Now the time to do that.
Can I answer that?
Go for it.
You specifically said it was man hours. It was man hours. That was the maintenance. It was the people going out to maintain the NAC projects. That's what he said. So that's clearly not an NCIP project because it's manpower.
Yeah, I alluded to in one of the meetings that if it's a capital improvement that extends the life of the asset, then it can be a capital improvement. If it's maintenance to keep the airplane flying because the engines have to be serviced, no. If it's adding a new electronic system for collision avoidance, yeah, it adds to the value of the asset. Jamie has mentioned the accountants get together, Amy, Jamie, and myself, come up with a nice definition and get that summarized. One of the things I also heard in those meetings was that if it's an NCIP project for a neighborhood, then it should have a maintenance component. Therefore, anything for the sports center, supporting ADA, any of those things that are city facilities, to me, are out of bounds for us to be actually ordinance on. I think we ought to be looking at a maintenance pool for things. I said this in a previous meeting, might have been city council or this, I'm not sure. But things like radar speed signs where the solar panels get stolen. We ought to have a pot of money, and then we get some feedback about what happened and what proactive things have we done to stop that from happening. CERT container that had a solar panel on it didn't get it stolen until we moved it down next to the buildings. Right? So, you know, we have that element. But I think the way that we approach these things should be more pragmatic about, is there a pool that we can set up to fund keeping these things ready so that it doesn't have to be a question? It's very much like the pool of money for buying properties. And I think that would address some of the concern by the city manager. He is retiring, and we'll have to see what the next city manager's like.
December 30th, he reminds us.
So that's my opinion on that.
Thanks. Yeah, the item that comes to mind is like, say, playground equipment. That I learned that the parks people are over the years buying a new part from the vendor to replace a chain or a door or whatever. That when I learned that was eye-opening. I realized that playground equipment that we approved, the city's also paying to maintain, and that's kind of when the light bulb went off for me.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, we're not into this conversation right now, so we're just chatting, but CIP uses a 15% contingency. We use a 10% contingency on each of the projects within its budget. The city finance director is saying having a contingency as a project doesn't fit right. Well, maybe we should adopt a 15%, go that way. And just be consistent in the city between NCIP and CIP. But we should agendize that and make that formal. So if we could do that for next meeting. And then we'll just take the other and we'll just leave it in unencumbered funds, and it'll be in the funds, so we still have it. It's not like we just gave it away. Just we called it something different. Yes.
So I was thinking about us defining maintenance, and I actually decided to set it aside because Mr. Reeves had pointed out that a significant number of our projects are maintenance in themselves. And so if you want to put maintenance on top of maintenance, then you've got an issue. At Park Play Equipment, we had a cycle where we were rotating through that stuff faster than the manufacturers potentially were even recommended. You didn't even see the wear on it, and we just put a new one in. Because then there was no maintenance on it. So I think it might be good for this committee to go through a voting cycle and have everybody see how the voting cycle works, see what kind of projects they are, and understand how we are naturally already funding maintenance, because not everybody's had a chance to see that.
It wasn't a terribly scientific study, but I got a list of projects for the last like 12 years. 61% were city projects.
Yeah.
And that's not a tied out, verified, audited number, but it's just, yeah, we do a preponderance of maintenance for the city or improvements for the city. So yes, we have done this in the past to your earlier comment about we're not bending differently than we've bent before. Okay. Anybody want to make final comments and then we'll go bye-bye?
So you mean you're going to adjourn here in a minute?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Okay, one question.
Okay.
Just to remind everybody, we need to be looking at the public comments folder because there was 3 for downtown in there tonight. And last year there was 3 or 4 meetings that had public comment. But I had to ask, what the link was because you can't find it on the website. Maybe you could send that out.
Oh, that's
All of us?
Sure.
Yeah, I can send out a link to the committee members. Yeah,
Thank you.
about the submitted public comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. And then final comments, Jane?
On this agenda item,
Oh, on audio.
no comment.
Good. All set.
Just did it.
AJ? Anything else? Gary? Good. People online?
I think we lost most of online.
Went for a permanent bathroom.
Oh.
You got to hear before midnight.
Yeah, no, that was a 55-page agenda and I appreciate everybody getting through it.
Smart.
All right, so next meeting is September 17th. I will be sending out an agenda on Friday, or publishing the agenda for all committee members. If you can please respond to my email, I'll be sending out tomorrow, whether or not you will be attending in person or online. I do need those details if you're going to be attending online. Thank you.
All right, good night.
Adjourned at 9:20. Okay, meeting adjourned at 9:20.
I was back to reading.